Our story kicks off right in front of a breathtaking blonde, right after a super smiley redhead also works her magic. When it is the kimono-wearing brunette's turn, she drops a massive hint about wanting a normal life. Finally, the blue-haired girl shows up glowing, straight up confessing her feelings with zero shame. Having no earthly idea how he ended up in the middle of this harem, our boy starts to panic. Suddenly, the high-pitched beep of a heart monitor cuts the scene. Waking up startled in a hospital bed, our little MC has no clue where he is. The doc quickly asks if he remembers the accident, but the kid swears he is just a grad student. Just then, a flash hits his mind showing a lab fire where he kicked the bucket trying to save a hard drive. Confused by the whole thing, he looks around, confirming he is indeed in a hospital. Catching his own reflection in the mirror, the kid's eyes almost pop out of his head. He immediately blurts out that the face staring back is definitely not his. Getting another sudden flashback, the image of someone getting run over by a car pops into his head. Putting the pieces together, the MC realizes on the spot that he just got reincarnated into someone else's body. Uncovering his new identity, he figures out he is now Kim Yusung, a student with a Korean dad and a Japanese mom. Digging through the memories, he finds out the original owner of the body flipped his car in an accident and ended up in a coma. But his true self perished in that fire, and somehow his soul ended up here. With a racing heart, the kid celebrates escaping the absolute nightmare that was grad school. Trying to keep his cool in the car, he decides not to jump to conclusions since this possession could just end out of nowhere. However, the big question now is how he is going to get used to this brand new life. Walking up the stairs right behind his new mom, the kid just goes with the flow. Funnily enough, the body moves on autopilot and knows the exact way to the bedroom. Reaching the door, he gets butterflies in his stomach, feeling like he is invading a total stranger's privacy. Opening the door, our MC gets the jump scare of a lifetime with what he sees inside. Staring at fully packed shelves, he can barely believe this guy's peculiar taste. With the room full of magical girl statues, the secondhand embarrassment hits like a truck. Being totally blunt, he realizes the former owner of the body was a massive, certified geek. Sighing deeply, the kid facepalms, already anticipating a massive headache. Sitting down, the cruel doubt hits him, will he actually be able to fake being this Yusung guy? After all, if he does a total personality 180, his parents are gonna notice right away. Standing in front of the mirror, he analyzes his new look to try and understand the character. Striking a pose with a hand on his face, he notices the edgy hairstyle and the little bracelet on his wrist. In a stroke of pure genius, the kid jumps back, connecting the dots. Staring at a manga poster on the wall, he refuses to believe the coincidence. Shaking in his boots, our little MC realizes he's not just some random otaku, but a hardcore fanatic. Snooping through the shelves, he notices the previous owner was addicted to action and fantasy manga. Coming face to face with a bizarre elf cover, he harshly judges the old Yusung's terrible taste. Still, something about that cover triggers a massive red alert in our MC's memory. Grabbing a volume called Scramble Love, he instantly recognizes the romance manga that sold millions of copies. Packed with every cliché imaginable, this series mixed classic formulas with the author's unique style. Except, at the very end, the author completely lost it and made the main character end up with the childhood friend, driving the fandom insane. Remembering the internet drama, he recalls everyone raging on Twitter because the ending had zero buildup. Intrigued by the volumes on the shelf, the boy decides to give it a quick read just out of curiosity. Completely hooked on the story, he loses track of time and literally cannot stop reading. The next day, already working at the family restaurant, he admits he pulled an all-nighter reading that absolute nonsense. Getting his attention, his mom asks him to take the orders for the customers who just walked in. Laughing at her son's face, she mentions he looks more normal today, and the kid mentally thanks the heavens he does not have to act like a total weirdo. Throwing on his apron like a champ, our MC welcomes the folks walking into the restaurant. But the second he lays eyes on the newcomers, he nearly jumps out of his skin. Taking a good look at the couple at the door, he gets a super strong feeling he has seen them before. Clinging to the blonde guy's arm, the girl causes a scene, calling him Ruji. Visibly embarrassed by the whole thing, the blonde boy scratches the back of his neck, wishing the floor would just swallow him whole. Frying his brain cells, our MC finally puts a name to the face. Those two are the exact characters from the Scramble Love manga he spent all night reading. Without a shadow of a doubt, that blonde guy standing right there is none other than the story's main character, Sakamoto Ryuji. Frozen in the middle of the dining room, the kid tries to process the absolute madness happening right now. Putting it all together, he concludes this is not just a simple reincarnation into a normal world. Recapping the facts, he was a student who perished in a fire and woke up in a teenager's body. And this body belongs to a useless background NPC from the romance manga sitting on his shelf. Long story short, he got sucked straight into the book's universe. Panicking, our little MC realizes he has zero advantage because he only knows the ending spoilers and not the full plot. Playing it cool while waiting tables, he tries to calm down by eavesdropping on the main character's conversation. Taking a deep breath, he decides the best strategy is to simply stay the heck out of the main character's life. With that goal set, he vows to live a peaceful life as just another background extra. Jumping into action, he starts a crazy routine, reading everything in his room and enrolling in a high school far away to avoid the main cast. Hyper-focused on his studies, he crushes his exams and scores a full scholarship as a top-tier student. Not satisfied with just being number one, he even joins the student council, becoming the pride of the school. Despite all this grinding, the days go by and the bizarre possession never breaks. Stretching his back in his chair after hours of studying, he accepts he is going to have to adapt to this reality for good. Planning his future, practically, the kid is already calculating part-time gigs and stock investments. But realizing a sharp mind is nothing without a strong body, he decides physical endurance is the real key to success. Struggling to do a single push up on the floor, he realizes just how incredibly weak this NPC body is. Sweating bullets on the bench press, he starts lifting heavy iron on a quest for the perfect physique. Flexing every new muscle gained, the kid gets bizarrely addicted to working out, even flashing a proud smirk at the mirror. Just when he thought he had everything under control, a girl's delicate footsteps sneak up on him. Back at school with his briefcase, the boy realizes time totally flew by. When praised for arriving early, he drops a confident little smirk. But when they turn around, the shock hits hard seeing Yu Sung's monstrous new physical build. Still rocking a grumpy face, he bluntly replies he has no clue where his classroom is. Standing under the cherry blossoms, the kid reflects that he blinked and is already in his second year. With a completely revamped look, he admits the first year went by way too fast. In the meantime, he hit the gym super hard, training like an absolute beast. All this happened because he needed to get massive to be able to protect himself. After all, in the crazy world of manga, an alien or the mob could pop out of nowhere at any second. So this insane physique is not just for vanity, it is prep work against the dangers of this dimension. Standing tall, he vows to keep living a quiet life without drawing any attention. However, the second he steps into Class 2B, he hears a female voice calling for Ryuji. To his absolute misery, the girl shouting is Yagochi Maya, the story's main heroine. Looking like he has not slept a wink, the blonde main character is already complaining about a rough morning. Panicking at his desk, our MC realizes he landed in the exact same class as the main character. Ticked off at his own luck, he grumbles that he should have picked a school in the middle of nowhere. Up at the front, Ryuji tells his friend he lost his wallet and has a really bad feeling about today. The moment he hears about a collision with a random stranger, our muscle man gets a harsh reality check. At that exact second, the teacher walks into the room, telling everyone to grab a seat. The teacher quickly mentions things are still chaotic because of the first day of classes. But without wasting time, he drops the bomb that he has a very important announcement. Getting straight to the point, the teacher calls a transfer student into the classroom. Glowing and absolutely radiant, a breathtaking blonde walks through the door. Instantly, the entire class starts whispering about the new girl's absurd beauty. Making room for her, the teacher asks her to introduce herself to the class. She says her name is Kishimoto Rika, and she loves sweets, cats, and naps. With the whole room drooling over her, the MC keeps sweating bullets in his seat. Using basic logic, he instantly recognizes the new girl as another cliché romance heroine. Even without reading the whole series, he remembers she won the internet popularity poll. Pointing to the back, the teacher shows exactly where the blonde is going to sit. To the MC's total despair, the empty desk is right next to the darn Sakamoto Ryuji. Eyes wide open, the new girl totally freezes the second she recognizes the blonde guy up close. Pointing a finger right in his face, she yells in shock, confirming he is the guy from earlier this morning. Memories of their morning collision flood back, and she goes off, calling the kid a creep. Finding the drama funny, the teacher says it is great they already know each other and tells her to sit down. Fuming with anger, the blonde sits in her chair, turning her face away from the main character. Pouting hard, she makes the vibe between them super heavy and awkward. Trying to fix things, Ryuji pulls a wallet out of his pocket and asks if it is hers. Beat red with embarrassment, she stammers a thank you while our little MC watches the whole show from the front row. Just then, an NPC asks to borrow a magazine, and our boy hands it over without caring much. Sighing deeply, he reinforces that he wanted zero part in these high school plot twists. Except since this world runs on romance manga logic, he can predict the glitches. Because of that, he always reads the magazines to try and anticipate the drama. This way, he tries to stay up to date with the bizarre rom-com patterns of this world. Out of nowhere, Ryuji stands up blushing and asks the blonde to step out of the room with him real quick. Looking totally serious, the blonde boy says they need to talk privately about what went down this morning. Still suspicious, the girl agrees but warns him he only has 1 minute to speak. The second the duo walks out, our muscle man gets super suspicious. Inventing the classic bathroom excuse, he gets up from his desk immediately. Out in the hallway with a heavy aura, the kid looks straight out of an anime villain's playbook. Down the halls, folks are already whispering rumors, claiming he is a senior mob hitman. Hearing these absurd gossip, he mentally gives thanks for having a presence that intimidates everyone. Picking up the pace, he decides he needs to spy on this event closely to confirm his theory. After all, for his glitchy predictions to work, he has got to gather info straight from the source. Resting his hand on his chin, the MC analyzes what the perfect spot for a secret school meeting would be. The obvious answer hits his sharp mind like an arrow. Hitting the bullseye, he finds the two hiding in the isolated back area of the school. Without wasting a second, Ruji claps his hands together and frantically apologizes for bumping into her. Hiding in the bushes, our spy analyzes the apology technique, identifying the trap. Seeing the blonde turn her face away and strike a pose, he realizes the glitchy is in full swing. Playing hard to get, the girl throws aside, eye full of attitude at the blonde guy. Suddenly, she cannot hold the pose anymore and lets out a massive, loud laugh. With a huge smile, she tells Ruji he is way more innocent than he seemed. Leaving the kid totally confused, she mentions she is not petty enough to stay mad over a silly accident. Stuck in the bush, our MC rolls his eyes, super frustrated with this cheesy couple scene. From his analysis, that radiant personality is exactly what makes her #1 in the polls. Unblinking, he keeps his eyes glued to the little couple from inside that bush. Right as he declares this a classic romantic opening, someone sneaks up right behind him. Hearing his name called out, the boy freezes from head to toe. Looking back, he comes face to face with a spooky girl holding a fan up to her face. With a totally accusatory tone, the brunette asks if he is doing something as low as spying on girls. Spotting the danger instantly, he recognizes Seionji Kumiko, the story's typical rich villainous character. In the original work, she lost the pole badly and just became a tragic secondary rival. With ninja-like reflexes, the kid snaps a branch off the bush and pretends he was just admiring the plant to decorate the student council room. Staring down the girl's suspicious face, he tries to pass as a perfectly normal extra to make it out alive. Trying not to show any panic, he keeps his posture firm so he does not give away that he was snooping. Looking at the useless branch in his hand, the brunette rolls her eyes and says she will at least put that in the teacher's lounge. Thanking his lucky stars, the kid lets out a huge sigh of relief for not getting busted right then and there. Skipping the small talk, she crosses her arms and asks what the student council secretary is doing slacking off at the start of the semester. Striking a superior pose, the girl announces she wants to gather the council officers for a meal to strengthen their bonds. Keeping up his submissive act, he nods and starts following the leader down the school hallways. Finding the route weird, he asks if they are going to eat at the regular cafeteria. Letting out a mocking little laugh, she teases him, saying he really does not know her at all. Opening her fan dramatically, the offended rich girl asks if he really thinks she eats peasant food. She quickly clears up that she has no issue with normal dishes, but she demands a minimum level of culinary decency. Sitting in a fancy restaurant, our MC feels like a total fish out of water eating Wagyu beef. Sweating bullets, he tries to explain the school does not have pork on the menu to please her refined palate. Shocked by the lack of pork, she irritably asks what on earth they even serve in the cafeteria then. Trying to remember the popular dish's name, he mentions juden, but she thinks the name sounds way too vulgar. Glaring at the imaginary plate, the villainess makes a disgusted face, making it crystal clear she would never eat a working class meal. Suddenly, our little MC gets jumped, scared by a shout coming from the other side of the courtyard. Running up out of breath and fixing his glasses, a student in a tie complains that Milady vanished without telling anyone. Startled, the brunette instantly recognizes Akaki Shinjiro, the council's vice president and her family's official lackey. Giving a death stare, the four eyes hostilely judges our boy from head to toe. Pointing a finger right in Yusung's face, the crazy guy demands to know how a mere secretary dares to hang out with a council leader. Blushing hard, the brunette tries to smooth things over, claiming she skipped her meal just to look for him. Confused by the lie, the MC thinks to himself how she was just complaining about peasant food 2 seconds ago. Nervous, she tries to play off her blunder, shaking with the branch in her hands while the VP will not stop ranting. Scowling, Akaki declares he will not tolerate any disrespect towards his lady. Beating his chest, the four eyes launches into a dramatic speech, swearing to risk his life for the Seionji family. This bizarre scene, our boy notices the brunette dragging the vice president away by the ear, apologizing for the delay. Left all alone in the middle of the path, the kid stands there looking clueless, not understanding the absolute madness that just went down. Later on, after classes wrap up, he makes his way to the subway station to head home. In the middle of the crowd, he takes a deep breath, stoked to have survived another day without any major drama. Analyzing the landscape, he figures today was the day the official Scramble Love storyline finally kicked off. mentally celebrating the fact that everyone avoids him like the plague thanks to the freakish size of his muscles. Satisfied with his voluntary isolation, he flashes a spooky smile, thinking turning into a human tank was the best decision ever. Looking at the subway board, disappointment hits when he sees the next train is not coming for 10 minutes. Solving the temporary issue, he pops a canned soda to hydrate while reflecting on his peaceful life as an extra. Certain he will not get dragged into the main plot's mess, he takes a relaxed sip of his drink. But the piece is short, lived because a super energetic female voice calls out his name. Choking on his soda, he goes into shock seeing the blonde Kishimoto Rika planted right in front of him. Smiling like they are childhood besties, she celebrates bumping into him again. Without missing a beat, she grabs his massive arm, boldly asking for directions like it is nothing. Sweating cold, he cannot fathom how the girl knows his name since they have literally never spoken a word to each other. Pointing at his chest, the blonde taps his ID badge showing the name Kim Yusung engraved right there. Letting out a cute little giggle, she pronounces his name with total familiarity, making the kid even more tense. Trying to hide his nerves, he scratches his neck, realizing he actually forgot to take his name tag off his shirt. With sparkling eyes, she drops the bomb that he is a really nice guy, completely contradicting all the school rumors. Intrigued by the comment, the kid just stares at her, trying to decode what is going through her head. Full of questions, he tries to figure out where on earth this girl got the idea he is a cool, friendly dude. Rocking a grumpy face, he demands to know why she got that first impression of him. Striking a thoughtful pose, the blonde says she noticed his dark aura in the classroom and got curious. Bringing up the wild rumors, she mentions hearing he single-handedly beat up a whole biker gang. But tossing the gossip aside, she says she found him cool for letting the council president treat him poorly without fighting back. Covering his face with his hand, the MC realizes the girl made a colossal misjudgment about his true motives. Frustrated by the setup, it dawns on him that he accidentally caught the attention of one of the main heroines without even trying. Looking at her smiley little face, he instantly understands why the blonde is #1 in popularity. Cutting off his thoughts, the girl snaps his attention back, demanding a response about being a cool guy. Waking up from his trance, he quickly apologizes, trying to kill the conversation before things get worse. Thanking her for the weird compliment, he hopes she will just walk away and mind her own business. Persistent as ever, the blonde claims the rest of the class does not understand him, but she knows he has a good heart under all those muscles. Tired of arguing, he decides it is way easier to just nod along with the girl's delusion and let it go. Smiling brightly, she officially proclaims herself the muscle man's friend and tells him to take care of her from now on. Giving up on scaring the heroine away, the boy accepts his fate and drops the tough guy act. Realizing that whether he isolates himself or tries to make friends, the outcome with the blonde would be exactly the same, he accepts the forced friendship. Determined not to ruin the main storyline, the boy commits to keeping his background character act going at all costs. Shoving his hands in his pockets, he agrees to the friendship, trying to project maximum confidence in his acting. Hyped about their new alliance, the blonde shows him her phone screen, asking for directions to a station in Tokyo. Staring at the screen, the kid confesses he has zero clue how to get there because the subway lines are way too confusing. Checking out the address, he notices the station is in a rich neighborhood and figures the girl must be loaded. Celebrating his answer, she says they live close by and will be able to take the train together every single day. Shocked by the info, he realizes their neighborhoods are practically right next to each other. Laughing for no reason, the blonde finds it all super fun and calls it destiny, while he sweats bullets. Reflecting on these plot twists, the MC goes into high alert with them being this close. Remembering his old notebooks, he admits he does not know the original story well enough to predict this stuff. Accepting defeat, he decides the smartest move is to keep the blonde close to gather direct intel and prevent major disasters. Planning to use this to his advantage, the kid figures blackmailing Rika for gossip is a pretty solid deal. Weighing the risks, he guesses that getting involved in her rom-com arc will not drastically alter the main plot anyway. Breaking the silence, he calls the blonde over and offers to buy her a drink to seal their bizarre new friendship. Standing in front of the vending machine, he tells her to pick anything, as proof they are officially pals. Chugging the soda in one go, the blonde looks like she is in heaven, enjoying every single drop. Smiling from ear to ear, she thanks him and says nothing beats an ice-cold cola. Noticing her addiction, the kid comments she must be a massive fan of cola. Replying cutely, she confesses she was actually cutting out soda for her diet. Whipping out her phone, she proudly shows off pictures from her days as a child model. Surprised by the reveal, he takes a look at the photo and agrees the girl definitely has modeling talent. But looking closely at her face in the pic, he turns to her and points out she looks a bit different, maybe because of the makeup. Instantly offended, she yells that she does not wear makeup and desperately tries to change the subject. Right then, the train pulls into the station and she dodges the question, sprinting to board before the doors shut. Sitting in the train car, two gossipy old men start whispering, calling our MC a thug because of his massive size. Uncomfortable with the dirty looks, he tries to ignore the comments while wondering how he is going to survive this commute every day. Laughing at his dumbfounded face, the blonde jokes that taking the train just became a hardcore event, and in a way, he has become her personal human shield. Pulling out his pocket map, he studies the transfer routes to figure out how the girl is getting home. Pointing at the confusing colored lines on the map, he tries to explain it while she understands absolutely nothing, just giggling at the mess. Leaving the station together, they walk through the neighborhood saying their goodbyes, and she swears it was the best day ever. Confirming her stop is the very next one, the kid thanks her for the peaceful company so far. Waving from inside the train, the blonde smiles and says she is counting on him again tomorrow. Shocked by the daily summons, he realizes he will not be escaping her on the train anytime soon. Standing alone on the sidewalk, he wonders how the #1 heroine chose him of all people to stick to at school. The next day, the lunch bell rings and everybody's stomachs start rumbling. Realizing she forgot her lunchbox, Rika looks super bummed, imagining going hungry all afternoon. Popping open his Tupperware, our boy gets ready to eat his kimbap in total peace. Popping the first piece into his mouth, he enjoys the quiet break hiding away from everyone. Out of nowhere, a head of blonde hair pops up in the corner of the courtyard, busting him with his cheeks stuffed. Totally dramatic, she fake cries, saying she cannot believe he hides his lunch and eats all alone every day. Trying to smooth things over, he explains his massive arms scare the other students, so he prefers to keep to himself to avoid drama. Shrugging, he says it is better this way to stop rumors, and that people just need time to get used to his look. Trembling, the blonde calls it absolute nonsense that he has nobody to eat with, claiming that being around people is super important. Staring hypnotized at his container, she recognizes the Japanese food and asks if she can grab just one little piece to try. Agreeing to share his meal, the boy marvels at how fast her mood swings, since she was literally crying a second ago. Thrilled with the free food, she says eating with someone is way more fun than crying on an empty stomach. A bit shy, he apologizes, warning her that tomorrow is a no-go because he brings the exact same lunch every day and she might get sick of it. Savoring the rice roll, the girl proves she totally deserves the heroine title, oozing charisma with every chew. Yelling in approval, she praises the seasoning, confirming the rumor that his family runs a top-tier restaurant. Bashful about the praise, the big guy plays it off saying it is just meat and rice, but tells her to let his mom know if she really liked it. Not wanting just mooch, the blonde offers to trade a piece of her special omelette for his kimbap. Grabbing the juicy piece of egg, he tosses it straight into his mouth without a second thought. The moment the bizarre flavor explodes on his tongue, his pupils dilate in pure shock. The weird taste paralyzes his body for a split second, trying to process what he just swallowed. Nauseous from the overload, he realizes the recipe belongs to someone whose childish palate was destroyed by sugar. He asks exactly how many spoonfuls of sugar she dumped into that thing to make it so sickeningly sweet. With a disgusted face and a dark aura, the muscle man says too much sugar is bad for you and promises next time he will bring a real, sugar-free Korean omelette. Confused, the girl asks what he even puts in the Korean recipe and he says, just salt. Leaving the blonde absolutely outraged. Thinking eating eggs with salt is a crime against humanity, she accuses the Korean guy's taste buds of being broken. Laughing off the culinary debate, the vibe suddenly shifts, and a heavy presence is felt in the courtyard. Looking off into the distance, they spot a weird duo looking like they are about to start some serious trouble. Irritated by the sight, the student council president marches over, furiously blowing a referee whistle. Trembling with rage under the shadow of her bangs, the brunette swears the heavens might forgive this immorality, but she absolutely will not. Stomping her foot hard, she lifts her head and officially declares that isolated, secret hookups during lunch are strictly forbidden. Confused by this random fury, the kid stutters, asking what the heck she means by an high inappropriate relationship. Taking a firm step forward and glaring at them, the four-eyed vice president deepens his voice, taking control of the situation. Calling our MC by his full name, Akaki judges him with a massive superiority complex and calls him a straight-up coward. Sick of the dumb accusations, the boy blurts out that he was literally just eating and questions why those two keep popping out of nowhere all the time. Pointing a finger in the big guy's face, Rika jumps in, saying it is way too weird to catch them stalking people every single day. Switching targets, the president shoots daggers at the blonde with her eyes, daring her to make another smart comment. Right then, the blonde connects the dots, points at the brunette while laughing, and dubs her the President of Darkness. Frozen, the villainess hears the embarrassing nickname, repeating it quietly to herself as she processes the ultimate humiliation. Dripping with sarcasm, the heroine says she totally gets the nickname now, since the brunette only ever wears black and walks around with a super depressing aura. Exploding with rage, the president screams in pure indignation about the honor and dignity of the official council uniform. Showing zero mercy, Rika mocks her, asking if the president has the guts to admit it is just an emo cosplay outfit. Totally destabilized, the brunette realizes she just became the school's biggest joke and that nickname is gonna stick for the rest of the year. Sprinting away desperately to escape the embarrassment, she swears revenge, warning them that this is not over. Seeing his offended goddess run away crying, the Four Eyes chases after her, calling her name and tripping over his own feet. Left alone, Rika finds the escape hilarious, but the MC is left pondering their incredibly childish rivalry. Shrugging it off, the kid states he has absolutely no idea what just happened and just wants to get back to eating in peace. After school, Rika's cheerful voice echoes again, calling the Korean guy's name down the empty hallway. Leaning on his desk, she finds it weird he has not left yet and asks what today's excuse is. Holding a club guide pamphlet, he explains that being on the council last year left him with zero free time, but now he is thinking of joining one. The most generic idea ever, she grabs his arm and suggests visiting every single club today to test out the options. Thinking it over, he concludes that acting on it and testing everything in person is way better than just sitting around overthinking, doing nothing. Confirming his choice, he closes his eyes in concentration and agrees to check out the spots to be absolutely sure. But without giving her a second to breathe, he announces he is not just visiting one, but all of them in the same afternoon, completely shocking the blonde. Flashing an evil smirk with a dense aura surrounding him, the MC scares even his own shadow with his master plan. Cracking his knuckles with a crazy look on his face, he reveals his true intention is to finally test the absolute limits of his insane strength. Arriving at the soccer club's door, they can already hear the loud noises of a practice in full swing. Out on the field, the ball flies everywhere and smacks the crossbar hard from a terribly aimed kick. Seeing the players' horrible aim, the guys on the sidelines laugh and completely roast the rookies. Annoyed by the mistakes, the veterans cross their arms and cuss the kids out for missing 5 shots in a row. Laughing at his buddy's face, one of them claps back, saying his friend didn't land a single shot either. Full of arrogance, a veteran steps up, telling them to pay attention and learn how a real goal is scored. Suddenly, an NPC interrupts, calling the duo a couple of slackers, which instantly makes the vibe super heavy. But seeing the number 10 jersey approach, everyone's eyes widen in shock as they recognize the team's absolute legend. Looking grumpy as ever, the captain orders them to clear the field because the main practice is about to start. Drooling with fear, the crowd warns that it is Zero, Bakryo High, the third-year captain known for showing zero mercy to anyone. Shaking like leaves, the cocky veterans bow an apology and quietly sneak off the field. Sighing deeply, the NPC thanks the captain for getting rid of the annoying rookies who were ruining the practice. Cutting the small talk, the captain bluntly asks if there is a single decent freshman in that entire mess. Looking worried, his partner confesses it is tough finding talent this year to win nationals. Dreaming big, he says if they could just find one incredibly strong freshman, the championship story would be totally different. Grinding his teeth, the kicked out jerk veteran mutters he is ticked off about the humiliation he just went through. Stirring the pot, his buddy asks if they should go back and smash the captain's face in. Laughing nervously, the other guy recalls the legend that Ryohei's kick tops 100 kilometers per hour, saying he prefers to stay alive. Trying to act tough, the muscular guy shoots back that street fighting is not soccer, and real experience counts way more. Right in the middle of their useless argument, someone taps the guy's shoulder hard, cutting his sentence right in half. Looking back, he comes face to face with our giant MC glaring down at him with a terrifying aura. With a deep voice and a piercing stare, the kid asks the veteran to repeat the threat he just made against the captain. Sweating cold, the duo instantly realizes who the giant confronting them in the hallway is. Screaming in panic, they recognize the infamous Kim Yusung, the mad dog, and sprint for their lives. Confused by their speedy escape, the Korean guy looks at Rika, asking what on earth just happened. Nearby, the crowd gossips in awe, thinking he defeated the delinquents, using only the power of his intimidating glare. Worried, the blonde reminds him he was not supposed to pick fights on the very first day of club visits. Scratching the back of his neck, he sighs in frustration because he literally only stopped to ask where the field was, and everybody bolted. From the field, the number 5 NPC hears the commotion and spots the giant standing at the club entrance. Alerting the captain, he points nervously, asking what the heck Kim Yusung is doing at their practice. Drooling in despair, the team already assumes he came to demolish the whole squad, seeking revenge against the guys who ran away. Trying to keep the peace, the captain tells the boys to chill, doubting it is anything that petty. Sweating bullets, a student brings up the rumor that he is a problem child banned from every club due to brute force. Thoughtful, the captain agrees the legends are not great, but decides to wait and see what the new guy's deal is. Approaching with heavy steps, Yusung's aura intimidates even the bravest guy on the team, proving the rumors were no exaggeration. The tense silence, the captain steps up and asks directly if he is the infamous Kim Yusung. Introducing himself firmly, the captain officially welcomes him to the club and asks why he is visiting. Without beating around the bush, the kid announces he wants to try out for the team and asks what the entry test is. Eyes wide open, Captain notices the absurd height difference and feels like a dwarf next to the Korean guy. Drooling over his genetics, the veteran notes the uniform, is practically tearing at the seams from those absurd muscles, and wishes he had this mountain on his squad. Mentally celebrating hitting the jackpot, the captain can already picture the national championship trophy in his hands. Locking eyes with the muscle machine, the captain swears to himself he is putting this monster on the starting lineup, no matter what it takes. Clearing his throat to hide his hype, the veteran explains the rules for the practical admission test. Pointing at the goal, he says it is simple: one single kick from the penalty spot with maximum power. Accepting the challenge, Yusung gets into position, promising not to hold back a single ounce of his monstrous strength. Channeling all his energy into his arms, the giant focuses his power to unleash everything on this one decisive kick. Grunting from the effort, his legs build up tension like springs ready to snap. He screams the word, "Skew-you-8," pushing past his own physical limit. In an explosion of power, he swings his leg for a monumental kick that kicks up dust across the entire field. Breaking the sound barrier, the impact of his foot on the ball sounds exactly like a bomb going off. On the field, the crowd goes dead silent, trying to process the absurd speed of that bizarre kick. Looking at the goal net, the captain realizes there is nothing inside and the ball has completely vanished. In absolute despair, one of the students realizes what happened and screams in shock at the test result. In the middle of the grass, the poor official leather ball is completely deflated and ripped in half from the impact. Laughing nervously, Yusung scratches his head, admitting soccer is not really his thing, and asks Rika for tips. Checking the pamphlet, the blonde cheerfully points out that the baseball and basketball clubs are right next door. Down the school halls, gossip runs wild, claiming the crazy Yusung is heading to demolish the basketball gym right now. Hyped up, the crowd runs after him to get front row seats for the destruction show. Watching the mob, the council president smiles, satisfied that the big monster has finally made his move. On the court, it goes exactly as expected. With one monstrous dunk, Yusung shatters the glass backboard, leaving everyone in shock. Moving to baseball, he swings the bat with such ignorant force that he completely destroys the field's metal safety netting. Passing by the tennis court, he smacks the ball with his racket so hard it pierces the concrete wall, blowing a giant hole in it. In her little notebook, Rika crosses off every single club with a red X of failure after the string of disasters. Loving the chaos, the girl celebrates that he cleared all the sports like he was beating levels in a video game. Tired of destroying school property, the MC asks how many clubs are left to end this torture. Giving a sneaky little laugh, Rika holds up her notebook full of mystery and promises to answer his question. Slapping on a pair of fake prescription glasses out of nowhere, she strikes a smart nerd pose surrounded by little imaginary stars. Reading her notes, she explains that if you skip the clubs without a practical test, there are only 3 options left on the menu. Starting with the track and field club, she explains the focus is on boosting stamina and concentration. Right after, she points out the swimming club, perfect for cardio and turning the whole body in the pool. Finishing the list, she shows the kendo club, ideal for mental discipline and taking life's beatings like a champ. Taking off the glasses with flair, the blonde confirms the summary is done and waits for the boy's final decision. Sighing in relief, he thanks her for the report but swears she did not need to play dress up just to say that. Smiling and ignoring his comment, she asks super excitedly which of those 3 they are hitting up next. Looking at her thoughtfully, the kid drops a question that turns her completely red, asking if she ever tried acting on top of modeling. Dodging the question fast, she says he is great at pretending to be scary and suggests dropping the subject if he is not an actor himself. She shrinks against the wall, squeezing her fingers, and admits she is too embarrassed to talk about it. Flashing an awkward smile, she confesses she did do a few acting gigs back in the day. Surprised by the reveal, the kid freezes and a chill runs straight up his spine. Noticing the usually bubbly heroine's unusual shyness, he concludes there is some dark secret in her past that the manga never revealed. Scratching his head, he realizes if he plans to change the original plot, he better investigate the blonde's secrets before it is too late. Without pushing, he agrees to change the subject and points out they still have 3 clubs left to visit. Evaluating the situation, he figures forcing it now will only push the girl away, and it is best to let the dust settle. Taking the lead, he points to their next destination, deciding to knock out the kendo club right away. But as they get near the kendo dojo, they notice a weird, loud commotion at the door. Spreading panic down the halls, the NPCs scream desperately, announcing the arrival of the Mad Dog. Terrified by his history of destruction, the crowd gossips that he already broke half the school and is now here to demolish kendo. In the middle of the mob, some students shake with fear and ask the blonde what on earth she is doing hanging out with a monster like that. Letting out a nervous laugh, she invents on the spot that she is his manager and tells the crowd to go through her for interviews. Facing the chaotic scene, Yusung sighs in frustration, feeling like his reputation as a destroyer is already way out of control. Gossiping in the corners, the schoolgirls whisper that he uses club visits as an excuse just to pick fights with everyone. Stomping hard on the tatami mat, the kendo club captain shows up, smacking her wooden sword on the floor to demand attention. The audience drools over Captain Fumayukika's firm posture, praising her bravery. Keeping his cool, Yusung defends himself, saying he only wants to take the admission test and asks her to explain the rules. Laughing right in his face, the ponytail-wearing captain mocks the giant's tough guy attitude, thinking it is all just an act. Pointing her wooden sword right at him, she lays down the rules, saying the first one to land a clean hit wins. Showing zero fear of his ugly mug, she rests the sword on her shoulder and warns him she will be his opponent if he has the guts to enter the dojo. Hyped for the showdown, the crowd cheers at the chance to see the captain humiliate the school's resident monster student. Taunting the Korean guy, the NPCs yell for her to wipe the floor with his face, joking about charging admission for the show. Adjusting her fake glasses, Rika finds it hilarious how the students root against him, making him look like the game's final boss. Stressed by the screaming, the captain roars, ordering everyone to shut their mouths immediately. Shaking with fright, the gossips gulp hard, and absolute silence takes over the room. Keeping order, she decrees that this fight is strictly between her and Kim Yusung. With a bloodthirsty look and an evil aura, she warns that if anyone tries to interfere, they will have to fight her first. In absolute panic, the crowd backs away, terrified of getting beaten by the crazy girl running the club. Watching her stance, Yusung whispers to Rika, admitting this captain is on a whole different level of strength. Smiling, the kid feels a different kind of hype, realizing playtime is officially over. Staring at her threatening aura, he envisions a giant snake ready to deliver a venomous strike. Chatting with the blonde, he asks her to wait outside because the brawl in there is gonna get ugly. In her combat stance, the captain asks if he is absolutely sure he does not want to wear protective armor. Looking down at his own body, he jokes back the club definitely would not have anything big enough for his arms. To keep things fair, the captain takes off her own armor and warns him she is not responsible for any broken bones. Laughing at the threat, he taunts back that she has a good sense of humor and that he is definitely not the one who is going to get hurt. Gripping the wooden sword tight, she swears he will not be able to lay a single finger on her uniform. At absurd speed, she closes the distance and swings the wooden sword down, aiming right for Yusung's skull. Dodging by a hair, he praises her technique, admitting she is not just all talk and actually hits like a truck. Spinning the sword, she keeps up the pressure with rapid strikes, trying to break through his defense. Crossing swords, the impact sends a loud crack echoing through the gym, proving both of them have brutal strength. Stepping back, she creates some space and tosses the sword up, getting ready to unleash a wildly overpowered secret technique. With a confident smirk, she thinks this idiot could never break her imaginary magic defense circle. In one final charge, she declares playtime is over and rushes him with everything she has got. With animal-like reflexes, the Korean twists his body, drops his sword, and dodges the lethal strike aimed right at his throat. The wind pressure from her swing is so intense it rattles the curtains and slices through the air in the gym. Sweating cold, the captain feels the monstrous pressure he just gave off and realizes the danger she was just in. Legs shaking, the Korean admits to himself that if he had hesitated for even a second, his head would have been split right in two. Swallowing her pride, she admits she severely underestimated the delinquent's size and speed, and now she needs a new strategy if she wants to survive. With the glare of a giant snake summoned behind her, she promises to end him on the next strike with zero chance to block. Screaming the name of her clan's secret art, she swings the sword down with the force of the universe, aiming right at his chest. But right before the wood hits, he raises his bare arm and blocks the strike directly on the bone without even blinking. Hearing a loud crack, he groans in pain from the impact of the blow, which definitely left a mark. Shocked by the scene, the students in the back cannot believe he just tanked her invincible secret clan technique using nothing but his forearm. Smiling victoriously, the captain celebrates landing the hit and swears the Korean's reign ends at this exact second. Except, before she can finish her sentence, her face gets smashed by a violent, invisible force. Spinning through the air, she spits blood and goes flying, having no idea where that massive hit even came from. Crashing onto the floor battered and bruised, She realizes he didn't even use his sword, asking where on earth he pulled that bizarre killer technique from. With his sword lowered, the MC does not understand why the captain looks so confused lying on the dojo floor. Gasping for air, she stares at his puffed-up chest and puts the pieces of that physical mystery together. With his massive pecs flexed, the kid proves he needs zero magic and no secret techniques because his physique is pure, raw muscular defense. The next day, the rumor has already spread to every corner of the school, confirming he finished his journey by mercilessly destroying every single sports club. The gossiping like crazy, the crowd whispers that both the soccer captain and the kendo captain ended up in the hospital. Convinced things have spiraled out of control, the NPCs declare Kim Yu-sung is now the absolute king of the school hierarchy, and nobody can touch him. Trying to focus on class, the boy rests his head on the desk, admitting his strength is way higher than he thought, and the rumors have spread like a wildfire. Watching the blonde main character chatting casually in the back of the room, Yu-sung notices that despite the chaos, Ryuji seems untouched, totally ignoring the gossip. Happy with the distance, the Korean gives thanks and celebrates, saying Ryuji can live his little life while he lives as a super strong extra. Suddenly, the classroom door gets violently kicked open by a short-haired redhead who walks in screaming Ryuji's name with pure hatred in her eyes, ordering him to step outside right now. Startled by the screaming, the whole class stops and stares at the furious girl in the doorway, asking what the heck is going on. Standing up slowly, the blonde guy asks in confusion who this loud girl is, and she introduces herself as a kendo club member, full of rage and with zero patience for him. Getting right up in Ryuji's face, she accuses the blonde of beating up the freshman on her team after visiting the poor guys in the hospital. Desperate, the main character tries to defend himself, swearing he did not hit anyone, and that she is confusing him with someone else. The giant kid watches the whole thing and freezes instantly when a heroine with massive boobs and a bandana steps in to try and break up a fight that is not even hers. Questioning the redhead in front of everyone, the kendo captain asks if the rookies in her club were really the ones to blame for the mess. Explaining the situation, the redhead says they tried to drag her into an alley yesterday, but Ryuji showed up like a hero to save her skin. Glaring at the kendo captain, she asks if knowing that, she still thinks it is the main character's fault. Caught off guard, the kendo crew stammers, admitting Ryuji was not the one who started that whole clown show. Questioning her own version of events, the captain looks confused since she was absolutely sure the blonde guy was the culprit. Realizing how badly she messed up, the short-haired redhead goes into total shock at the revelation. Pointing her finger right in Ryuji's face, she declares in the middle of the classroom that he is her man from this day forward. Glowing with a bright aura, the blonde boy shakes in his boots hearing her promise to make him the happiest guy in the world. Without understanding a single thing that is happening, Rika just sits there with a blank stare caught in the crossfire. With the entire room gossiping about the sudden confession, Ryuji tries to hide in his chair. Screaming in pure panic, the main character tries to deny the whole situation while the redhead doubles down on her confession. Watching the drama from the front row, Yu-sung thinks getting ambushed by a romantic confession in the middle of class is just a brutally obvious cliché. Laughing at the scene, Rika enjoys it like she is watching her favorite TV show. With a sparkle in her eyes, the redhead exclaims she thinks Ryuji is amazing and does not care about anything else. Mocking the situation, the students in class start taking bets on which heroine the main character will actually pick in the end. Commenting on the new candidate, a student says the girl is sweet and has the perfect body for the role. Comparing their personalities, they say she is a beast to everyone else, but turns into a tame little puppy when she is around her crush. Seeing everyone gossip about the drama, Yu-sung feels like the school has turned into a literal madhouse. Looking to the side, he sees Ryuji getting cornered while the redhead points her finger with absolutely no shame. Commenting to Rika, he says if she has the guts to admit her feelings in front of everyone, it means the timing is absolutely perfect. Asking if Rika thinks the blonde guy will have a romance with the redhead, the MC tries to test the waters. Joking about the situation, the blonde asks Yu-sung who he thinks Ryuji will actually end up with at the finale. Shrugging, he says he has no clue, and Rika finds that answer totally boring. Knowing exactly what happens in the manga, Yu-sung bites his tongue to stop himself from spoiling that originally he was supposed to end up with the childhood friend. Putting on an air of superiority, Rika says she knows exactly who he is going to date, leaving Yu-sung completely intrigued. Spoiling the plot, she says in Scramble Love, Ryuji ends up getting together with Tojo. With a clear condition, she demands to be Tojo's official love guru to give her top-tier seduction tips. Dotting the blonde's skills, Yu-sung asks if she is really that sure of what she is talking about. Flashing a wink, she claims the students at school absolutely love asking her for dating advice. Feeling a pang of worry, he wonders why Rika is so hyped about other people's love lives. Imagining a scenario where he asks for advice, Rika laughs and he desperately begs her to drop it. Beat red with embarrassment, he tries to run from the topic while the blonde keeps pushing the joke. Glancing at the classroom door, he sees the redhead sitting there waiting for Ryuji, looking like she is about to cause some trouble. Asking what Tojo is doing in the middle of the classroom, Yusung sees the rumors flying wild about their upcoming weekend date. She wants to buy Ryuji a snack as an excuse for a date. The gossip only blows up more. Analyzing the situation, he concludes that a date like this is basically an official request to be his girlfriend. Catching a fresh rumor, he finds out the redhead is the daughter of a major big shot in the area. Discovering her dad is the top boss of a Yakuza syndicate called Daosi Kai, he instantly gets tense. Realizing Ryuji is tangled up with the criminal underworld, the situation for the main character just got incredibly dangerous. Shrugging it off, he tries to convince himself this is not his problem, and he is just a super strong background extra. Finding it bizarre, he tells himself that knowing this changes absolutely nothing about his chosen peaceful life. Joking about calling the guy boss, he shakes the thought away, finding the whole scenario totally terrifying. Thinking about it, he remembers he is already stuck inside a manga, so absurd stuff like this is entirely possible. Screaming at the top of her lungs, the redhead calls for Ryuji, insisting on that apology meal. Leaving the main character to fend for himself, he reinforces that he will not stick his nose into Yakuza drama, he just wants peace. Trying to cut the nagging, the redhead asks everyone for a timeout and finally takes control of the scene. Furious at the audience, she yells that it is nobody's business and that Ryuji is uncomfortable with all this noise. Watching from afar, the other students are dying of jealousy over the main character's luck of being fought over. After class, the redhead stays glued to Ryuji, demanding he accept the special apology lunch. Sprinting down the halls, the girl finally corners the blonde boy before he can make his escape home. Screaming his name, she swears he is going to eat with her this weekend, no matter the cost. Looking like he is about to cry, Ryuji begs for mercy while getting publicly harassed. At the family restaurant, Yusung watches the scene while eating, and Rika shows up looking cute with a food tray. Offering a beautifully packed lunch, she asks what he is going to do during his time off for Golden Week. Replying he will be stuck helping out at the restaurant, he invites Rika to swing by if she has some free time. She asks if he likes manga, warning him she has a literal mountain of them at her house. Pulling up a photo on her phone, she shows off the giant collection her dad built that looks like a whole bookstore. Impressed, he says he would love to check it out, and they agree to figure out the details later. Snacking on her food delicately, the blonde seems super satisfied with the chat. Looking at her, the MC comments she is way too skinny for the massive amount of food she puts away. Explaining her diet, she says if she does not eat a proper lunch, she ends up snacking all day long. Smiling, she drops the gem that everything she eats goes straight to her chest, leaving Yusung totally paralyzed. Snapping his head up suddenly, he notices her cleavage and loses all reaction, trying desperately to look away. Catching him staring, she yells, calling him a creep, and points out it was an obvious trap. In the crowded cafeteria, the two chat peacefully, completely ignoring the noise of the rest of the school. Hiding in a corner, the redhead watches the two of them, thinking this is her golden ticket to get some help. Sneaking up from behind, she calls out to Yusung, asking if she really is Tojo Karen. Totally lost, the MC asks who she is and Rika introduces the girl as the chick from the kendo club. Explaining the redhead is dealing with some love troubles, she says she heard a rumor that Yusun is an expert at giving romance advice. Red as a tomato, Tojo tries to shut Rika up before the whole school hears her confession. Asking if the rumor is actually true, the redhead begs for desperate help, while Yusun wonders where on earth they got that massive lie. Asking how they knew she was having issues, Rika explains all you have to do is watch how she acts in class. Trying to cover Rika's mouth, the redhead nearly has a panic attack, demanding absolute silence on the matter. Jumping on the chance, Rika says Yusung also needed to have a serious talk with her. Tojo asks for help to win Ryuji's heart as fast as humanly possible. Walking down the street, our MC concludes Kishimoto is living the absolute best moment of her life. The memory of the blonde girl scheduling a serious meetup for everyone the next day quickly pops into his head. Frying his brain cells, he remembers that in the original story, Sakamoto was supposed to be the center of a four-girl harem. Standing right in front of the gym, the boy decides to stop thinking about this madness and just focus on his own workout. Inside, the vibe shifts immediately when people notice the absolute monster lifting heavy iron. Curious about the scene, two girls find it weird that a certain female student is hanging out in the middle of the Mythiads. Surprised by the visit, the kid turns his head and comes face to face with a familiar figure. Glowing in casual clothes, the kendo club captain shows up dripping with charm. Without blinking, Yusun calls Fuma Yukika by her name, confirming the girl's identity. A bit awkward, she explains that regular club activities just were not making her sweat enough anymore. With a sneaky smirk, the muscle man jokes that now he totally gets why the guys in the gym are so fired up. Looking at that scene, the MC mentally admits the captain is a genuinely breathtaking beauty. Making small talk, he mentions he had no idea the brunette lived in the area, and she confirms she just moved recently. With that info in hand, the Korean thinks the situation is absolutely perfect for his master plans. Suddenly, the jacked gym director pops up, officially declaring Yusung will be the new girl's personal trainer. Giving them a little nudge, the old man argues that training with a schoolmate is way better than with some creepy old dude. Leaning right into the kid's ear, the old guy whispers that she only came here because she is totally into him and wishes him good luck. Straight to the point, the director tells Fuma to just observe today, while the big guy realizes the old man got the wrong idea entirely. Wasting no time, our little MC fixes his posture and grips the weighted barbell tight. Completely ignoring common sense, the old man tells him to start light with 220 kilos, and the brunette almost falls over backwards. To calm the girl down, the director notes he has 20 years of bodybuilding under his belt, but swears the kid is a never-before-seen mutant. With his hands locked on the iron, Yusung flexes his brutal muscles, ready for the colossal effort. In one flawless squat, he lowers all that weight like he is just carrying a couple of grocery bags. Hyped by how easy it was, the old man yells to bump the weight to 270 kilos, terrifying the captain for real. After nailing 5 full sets, the boy takes a deep breath, while Fuma thinks this has just turned into pure torture. Bursting with pride, the director points at the monster he created, while the swordswoman sweats cold, watching the bizarre display. Evaluating the kid's physique, the captain decrees that body absolutely does not belong to a simple high school student. Facing that terrifying purple aura, she connects the dots and uncovers the muscle man's true anomaly. Totally sure of her intuition, she identifies it as the legendary extreme yang physique from the martial arts world. Recalling ancient tales, the girl compares the MC to the great heroes of history born with the strength of 100 men. Having felt the impact of his blow firsthand, the brunette knows that kind of raw power does not just come from hitting the gym. Focused on her secret duty, she decides to report this monstrous discovery straight to her mysterious boss. Suddenly, the scene cuts to the front of a massive, traditional mansion fit for the absolute highest elites. At the entrance, the suits bow down greeting the redhead, while the blonde and our MC crash the party as total uninvited guests. Intrigued by Kishimoto's chill attitude, the boy wonders if it is normal for high schoolers to just deal with the mob in this world. But walking through the corridor of mobsters, the kid mentally admits he will never get used to the sheer craziness of this isekai. Just laying eyes on our giant causes sheer panic, and one of the goons almost has a heart attack at the kid's massive size. Pointing his finger, the Yakuza accuses the big guy of being a spy for a rival gang, ordering the redhead to step back from the danger. Furious at the scene, Tojo cusses out the goons, warning them they came to help, but the mobster fires back that this guy has the face of an ex-con, not a student. Finally safe inside the massive kitchen, the redhead apologizes a million times for her bodyguard's wild behavior. Used to being judged, Yusung shrugs and says having a thug face always causes this kind of mess. Tying on an apron, the kid warns he is totally useless at giving romance advice, but the redhead insists a male perspective is the key to success. Gripping a knife, Tojo asks if cooking guarantees Sakamoto's heart, and the blonde swears home, cooked meals never fail. Striking a sparkling pose, Rika demands blind faith in the unbeatable tips of the ultimate romance guru. Watching the scene from the front row, the Korean feels brutal secondhand embarrassment, wondering how she says this stuff without turning bright red. Clapping their hands, the duo gets hyped and officially kicks off the culinary challenge in the mafia kitchen. Bursting with pride, the redhead holds up a shiny lunchbox, showing off her very first handmade meal. With glowing eyes, she shows off the dish to the blonde, who congratulates her friend on the hard-earned victory. Except just minutes ago, reality was completely different, with the pan literally catching fire, and the MC deciding romantic cooking is a major hazard. Smelling the spices in the air, the big guy announces his rumbling stomach is demanding real food. Without hesitation, he offers to take over the stove to whip up a quick dinner for the crew hanging out there. Flashing a confident smile, the kid cracks his knuckles and tells them to leave it all in his capable hands. Instantly, the boy unleashes terror on the frying pan, making giant flames shoot up like an absolute manic master chef. Moving at an insane pace, the muscle man tosses the food with skills that leave both girls completely hypnotized. Once served, the fried rice glistens on the table, giving off a mouth-watering aroma that would make anyone hungry. Devouring the food without a second thought, the two girls praise every single bite, amazed by the flawless taste. Curious about his talent, Rika asks how long he has been throwing down in the kitchen like this, and the kid estimates since his first year of school. Looking back at his old body's past, he mentions his mom used to wake up at the crack of dawn just to pack his lunch. Touched by the story, the blonde almost tears up hearing he learned to cook just to save his hard-working mom from getting too tired. Shifting focus, Rika asks who packs Tojo's lunch, and the redhead ruins the mature vibe completely, admitting her mommy makes it with lots of love. Suddenly snapping her fingers, the blonde remembers the main reason for the visit and announces she brought a special surprise. Handing over a fancy gift box, she reveals she went to the store and bought an entire arsenal of essential makeup. Full of care, Rika explains she wrote down a skincare routine on a little note so the redhead does not get lost in all the creams. Planning the next step, the guru decrees that after makeup, they are hitting the mall together to buy brand new clothes. Sizing up her friend, Rika drops the truth bomb, saying Tojo's tomboy school style needs an emergency rescue. Showing zero mercy, she accuses the redhead of dressing like an old uncle in her track jacket, and Yusung struggles not to laugh at her brutal honesty. Her pride wounded, the girl clenches her fists, promising to grind hard at learning makeup to secure this date no matter what. Celebrating her determination, Kishimoto announces the beauty salon is officially open and tells the boy to sit tight right there. Annoyed about being left out, the MC asks if he is just supposed to rot there, and the blonde claps back that peeking at a female makeover is a heinous crime. Dragging her friend by the hand, Rika disappears down the hall, full of energy to perform a fashion miracle far away from the guys. Tossed on the couch, the muscle man sits there looking clueless, grumbling that they literally just said his opinion was crucial. Later that night, walking back down the street, the kid admits to the blonde that the hangout ended up being super fun. Under the streetlights, he sincerely confesses he is rooting hard for the redhead to get her dream date. Changing routes, the boy suggests a quick pit stop at the convenience store to grab the weekly manga magazine. Standing right in front of the shelf, Rika repeats her dad's famous quote, declaring that anyone who loves comic books can never be a bad person. Straight to the point, the blonde asks if he religiously buys the manga every single week. Watching his reaction, Rika mentally declares that the Korean guy is, without a doubt, a genuinely good dude. With a sincere smile, she says anyone who tries that hard to help someone else out must have a heart of gold. Blushing hard, the girl locks eyes with him, stating loud and clear that he is a good person. Suddenly, the girl panics about the time and sprints off to pay for her magazine and bounce. Left hanging in the middle of the store, the kid tries to figure out why she ran and sarcastically concludes she probably had a stomach ache. The next day, the sun shines over the school, bringing a fresh wave of gossip down the hallways. In the corners, the guys start whispering in absolute awe of a brand new presence on campus. Multiple NPCs drool over the new girl, praising the absurd cuteness of the chick who just walked in. Strutting with serious style, the totally revamped Tojo Karen marches straight toward the classroom. Showing zero mercy, she slams her hand on the main character's desk, dropping a mysterious envelope. Striking a tough girl pose, she warns Sakamoto it is a letter of challenge and demands he show up this weekend. Completely stunned by the redhead's beauty, the blonde boy stammers, failing to even recognize his own classmate. Cutting to the weekend, the big day finally arrives with the bustling energy of Shibuya. Meeting up with the crew, the MC praises the redhead's guts, saying the challenge letter scene was incredibly epic. Joking around, the giant asks if he can call the mobster Little Karen, making the girl turn bright red. Now trapped inside the women's clothing section, the boy feels like he just stepped onto a bizarre alien planet. Being dragged by the blonde, he remembers Tojo asked for help, but grumbles that he was essentially brought here by force. Rika spots a super cute outfit and grabs the piece instantly. Shoving the redhead by the arm, the fashion expert orders her test subject to try the look on real quick. In an absolute shopping frenzy, the duo buries poor Karen in endless different clothing options without a break. Giving her zero chance to escape, the blonde tosses her friend into the fitting room along with a massive pile of hangers. Trying to run from the humiliation, the redhead screams that cute clothes absolutely do not suit her face. Losing her patience, Rika invades the fitting room with her and orders the entire mafia to stay quiet while she works her magic. Out in the hall, the MC hears some highly suspicious noises and the redhead complaining about getting touched in sensitive spots, leaving him totally shook. Pulling the curtain back, Tojo steps out shaking with embarrassment while trying to yank the hem of her new skirt down. Planning non-stop, the girl swears the skirt is way too short to wear in public. Asking for a male opinion, Rika turns to the giant and he drops the truth, saying the look is absolutely perfect on her. Blushing intensely, the redhead looks in the mirror and finally grasps the transformative power of a solid wardrobe. Right after, the scene violently shifts back to the dark and gloomy Yakuza family mansion. In the middle of a tense meeting, the mafia's top brass discusses a matter of extreme importance. Sitting at the head of the table, the big boss Tojo Nato glares at his goons with a vicious look. Known in the underworld as the Bloodbath, the redhead's dad announces his daughter has some major news. Stabbing a sharp knife into the wooden table, the old man declares his hair finally found a boy. Instantly, the whole room goes into shock, wondering what absolute madman had the guts to approach the Yakuza princess. Snorting with pure jealousy, the boss swears he is not handing his daughter over on a silver platter to some random street punk. Demanding info, Nato orders them to give up the poor guy's name, and the goon confirms the target is called Sakamoto. Analyzing the photo of the blonde kid, the boss discovers he goes to the exact same elite school as Karen. Showing he did his homework, the right-hand man says he escorted the little boss to the beauty salon yesterday. Whipping out his phone, the mobster displays a maxed-out credit card bill full of charges from women's clothing stores. Putting the evidence together, the jealous dad concludes his daughter is setting up a romantic date for the weekend. Exploding with pure hatred, the old man roars Sakamoto's name, wrecking his own office while the goon tries to calm the beast down. Without thinking twice, the leader summons every single gang member who has the weekend off. Yanking the knife out of the table, Nato decrees the mafia's official mission is to spy on the date and stop the blonde kid from trying anything funny. Roaring in unison, the high-ranking executives accept the order, and the bizarre operation launches immediately. Later on, the trio of friends stops at a diner to recharge after the crazy mall trip. Slumped in her chair, Rika sighs, completely exhausted, staring down a mountain of burgers and fries. Complaining about how tired she is, the blonde can barely chew, while the MC destroys his meal in total peace. Super grateful, the raid head thanks Rika for the help, and she replies that is exactly what friends are for. Wiping her mouth, the blonde says she loved the shopping trip, and Tojo happily agrees with the final result. Worried about the giant's appetite, the mobster offers to buy more burgers, but he declines, saying he prefers rice dishes. Insisting on being nice, Karen tells him to speak up if he gets hungry, guaranteeing the Yakuza is covering the bill. Staring at the girl, the kid reflects that underneath all the gangster attitude, she is actually a super caring person. Noticing him staring, the raid head blushes and asks if she has sauce smeared on her face. Letting out a little laugh, the boy jokes it off and quickly changes the subject, asking for the date itinerary for tomorrow. Laying out the basic plan, Karen dictates the routine will be coffee, a movie, and a normal little dinner. Slamming her hand hard on the table, Rika screams, calling her friend's idea way too naive, scaring everyone around them. Posing as a love guru, the blonde warns that doing the same old cliché never wins anyone's heart. Whipping her phone out of her pocket, the expert shows the screen, suggesting an incredible trip to the city aquarium. Hyping the place up, Rika talks about romantic blue lights and fish swimming around to set the absolute perfect mood. Painting the ultimate scene, the expert claims that whispering in the dark aquarium guarantees a romantic moment. Buying the idea instantly, the redhead swears to follow the plan, while the MC rolls his eyes at the blonde's craziness. Out on the street under the late afternoon sun, the boy says goodbye, wishing her good luck on tomorrow's mission. Waving their hands, the duo splits from the redhead, letting the girl head home with peace of mind. Suddenly, Rika strikes, grabbing the muscle man's arm, completely blocking his escape route. Full of ulterior motives, she asks what the boy's plans are for Saturday, and he says he is gonna rot at home reading manga. Refusing to accept that excuse, the blonde drafts the MC to spy on Tojo's date, but he tries to decline to save his own day off. Playing the emotional card, she puts on a puppy dog face, saying they have to ensure their friend's happiness, and the giant finally caves to the blackmail. Celebrating her victory, Rika high-fives him, officially declaring the amateur spy duo open for business. On the day of the date, the city turns into a hidden chaotic mess, with a little girl pointing at a super suspicious old guy in sunglasses. In the streets, the Yakuza mobsters hide in trench coats, setting up a heavy stakeout at the romantic meeting spot. Arriving on the scene, the blonde Sakamoto shows up looking foolish, asking if the girl had been waiting long. Flashing that heart-melting smile, the totally revamped redhead assures him she just got to the meeting spot. Red as a tomato, the main character praises her cute outfit, creating a super sweet vibe between the two of them. Together, the lovebirds start walking on their first date, completely clueless about the army of lunatics tracking their every move. Agreeing on the idea, the lovebirds decide to grab some tea first to plan out the rest of the day. Super stealthily, the amateur spy duo starts tailing the couple down the street. Confident in his disguise, the kid thinks the plan is flawless, while the blonde girl shines with excitement. Too hyped, the romance expert sprints ahead, leaving the muscle man in the dust. Standing at the door of the famous coffee shop, the blonde guy comments on how incredibly popular the place is. Drooling with hatred, the redhead's dad crushes the wall in pure rage seeing his unwanted son-in-law up close. Outraged, the boss yells that it is a total disgrace the kid made his princess wait for 5 minutes. Trying to calm the beast, the goon warns that his screaming is drawing everybody's attention on the street. 9 mobsters packed in the exact same spot. The 4 eyes suggest splitting the team into pairs to blend in. Taking the smart advice, the leader orders everyone to scatter and tail the target without blowing their cover. Inside the shop, the vibe seems chill and absolutely perfect for a first date. Suddenly, a gigantic family-sized ice cream sundae is dropped right in the middle of their table. Amazed by the dessert, the redhead thinks it is beautiful, but Sakamoto doubts she can actually finish the whole thing. Hiding at the next table, Rika silently judges the short protagonist, calling the guy weak for not handling the challenge. At that exact moment, the entire mafia also claims tables in the joint, and the boss feels a super weird presence. In the middle of the crowd, Yusung's disguise is not enough to stop the men in suits from slowly creeping closer. Feeling the killer aura on his back, the MC deduces right away that these weirdos belong to the redhead's family. Shooting a lethal glare, the Yakuza leader shoots daggers at the giant in the hoodie. Even with the bizarre disguise, the old man notices the resemblance and recognizes the kid's massive physical build. Ignoring the mob pressure, the Korean focuses on the mission the second he hears the couple is going to see the dolphins. Sticking to the script, the lovebirds decide to head straight to the city aquarium immediately. Flashing a contagious smile, the mobster girl shows she is absolutely loving every second of the date. From the other side of the table, Yusung warns his partner that this chase is going to be way more stressful than she thinks. Arriving at the subway station, the intercom warns that the train doors are about to close. With a desperate leap, the spy couple crashes into the train car right as it shuts. Crushed by the massive crowd, the blonde screams, begging people to stop squishing her. Pressed right up against her, the muscle man asks for patience while the girl freaks out about being glued to his chest. Suddenly, the giant notices some highly suspicious movement in the middle of that packed space. Acting fast, he uses his own massive body as a human shield to stop the blonde from getting trampled by the mob. The second the doors open, the stampede of passengers pushes everyone out all at once. Terrified of losing their target, the prota grabs the blonde's hand in the middle of absolute chaos. Pulling the girl hard, he sprints, carving a path through the massive crowd in the station. Outside, the duo finally breathes a sigh of relief after surviving getting crushed on the train. Red with embarrassment, the romance expert awkwardly asks for her own hand back. Clumsy about the whole thing, the kid lets go of her fingers instantly and apologizes. She grumbles, telling him to be a little gentler next time. Confused by the phrase, the Korean mentally asks himself what makes her think there is even gonna be a next time. Making things worse, the light turns red, and the spy duo loses sight of the lovebirds at the crosswalk. Keeping his cool, the giant remembers their final destination is the aquarium and suggests heading straight there. Stuck in a traffic jam of people, the Yakuza suits curse the city's absurd overcrowding. Annoyed, one goon regrets not taking the car, while another reminds him weekends are always this hellish. Hidden under his hood, Yusung spots the mobsters and confirms they are the exact same guys from the mansion. To dodge a pointless bloodbath, the kid sneaks away quietly, getting out of their line of sight. At that exact second, the Four Eyes points his finger and warns the boss about the highly suspicious guy in the hoodie. Jogging his memory, the leader recognizes the daughter's friend who helped with the date prep a few days ago. Sizing up the boy's massive build, the boss admits the kid totally looks like a professional hitman. Since they lost sight of the redhead, the old man orders the gang to tail the amateur spies as Plan B. Heavy footsteps on the asphalt, the entire mafia marches together, hot on Yusung and Rika's trail. At the main entrance of the aquarium, the main couple finally reaches their highly planned destination. Super excited, the mobster girl drags the blonde boy inside the building, smiling from ear to ear. Suddenly, the bully from the kendo club shows up in the scene with a bandage on his nose, thirsty for revenge. Focusing his eyes, the troublemaker recognizes Sakamoto, strolling casually with the girl on his arm. Full of venom, the bullies buddy point the target, blaming the blonde guy for getting them kicked out of the club. Shaking with pure hatred, the delinquent swears that this time he is going to destroy the protagonist right there. Clueless about the incoming danger, the blonde and the MC keep up their stealthy spying near the giant fish tanks. Because of the dark blue lighting in the room, visibility is super tricky for the amateur spy squad. Even in the dark, the Korean catches a massive detail in the lovebirds' overall vibe. To everyone's surprise, the date is going flawlessly, and the redhead literally cannot stop laughing. Faced with this undeniable romantic success, the giant asks the blonde if they really need to keep spying at all. Switching scenes, the camera cuts to the park, where the couple is already laying out a blanket for a beautiful picnic. Popping open his own massive lunchbox, Yusung reveals a jaw-dropping feast of kimbap and sushi. Shocked by the feast, Rika drools over the food while he explains he prepped it all to handle the intense spying grind. Without hesitation, the blonde attacks the food, highly praising the muscle man's perfect seasoning. Close by, the main couple chats about how the aquarium trip was awesome and packed with beautiful fish. Sweating cold, the redhead completely freezes when it is time to offer the special lunch she made herself. Binoculars in hand, the MC spots her nerves, knowing it is the very first time she cooked for her crush. Then he remembers the mobster girl asked for tips on the app and practiced the recipe day and night without stopping. Blown away by the lunchbox, the blonde boy's eyes widen as he asks if she really made all of that herself. Red with embarrassment, she nods and tells the guy to eat as much as he wants because there is plenty of food. The exact second Sakamoto bites into the dumpling, Karen holds her breath in pure tension. Suddenly, the blonde boy's face lights up, and he shouts that the food is delicious, lifting a massive weight off the girl's chest. Hyped by the compliment, the redhead stabs another piece and feeds it directly into the boy's mouth with her own hands. Completely awkward, the protagonist chews the snack, accepting the food like a little kid. Smiling at her, the blonde assures her that the second bite is also incredibly perfect. Overjoyed, the mobster smiles in relief, confirming all her hard work in the kitchen truly paid off. Riding the vibe, the redhead tells the blonde boy to try everything and offers him a rice ball with care. Giving it a good chew, Sakamoto instantly approves of the food, and the smiles just keep coming. Confirming the lunchbox is absolute fire, the boy leaves the mobster girl with a super warm heart. Full of relief, the redhead squeezes her hands, blushing, thinking the grind was finally worth it. Hiding in the bushes, Rika celebrates, saying the couple looks like they are doing amazingly well on the date. Agreeing with the blonde, the giant kid finds it extremely weird that the plan worked perfectly without a single hitch so far. Frying his brain, Yusung accuses the romance expert of never actually dating in real life and only knowing this stuff from reading manga. Laughing in his face, Rika bluntly admits her lack of experience but swears she has helped tons of couples succeed at school. Swallowing his pride, the muscle man sighs, seeing the lovebirds packing up the blanket to leave, and decides to follow them. Deaf to his doubts, the blonde insists she is a top-tier counselor, totally ignoring her partner's concerns. Strolling peacefully through the park, the vibe between Sakamoto and the redhead hits maximum cuteness levels. Hiding behind a tree, Rika suggests the atmosphere is absolutely perfect for a blunt love confession right now. Suddenly, a loud noise of a brawl shatters the silence, startling the two spies nearby. Looking over, Yusung and Rika freeze when they see a group of delinquents cornering the lovebirds in the middle of the park. Flashing a sadistic smile, the gang leader cheers, saying he was hunting for the two losers all over the park. Taunting hard, the bully accuses Sakamoto of being a player who stole their girl the other day. Worried, Rika asks if they should call the cops, but Yusung warns it will take way too long. Standing his ground, Sakamoto recognizes the brutes from the kendo club, and the guys mock him, demanding revenge. Sweating cold, the redhead remembers the sheer panic in the alley and the bravery of the blondie kid who saved her from those thugs. Trembling, the girl recalls how the two cowards got brutally beaten by the protagonist in an unfair 2-on-1 fight. Complaining about the pain, the kendo troublemaker cries that he got kicked out of the club and lost his chance to see Captain Fuma every day. Floating with anger, Tojo screams, cursing the two idiots for ruining her special day. Pointing her finger right at the delinquents' faces, the mobster warns that this exact attitude is why they got banned. Shocked by the makeup, the troublemakers take a second to recognize the veteran Tojo, who used to walk around looking like a tomboy. Laughing at the makeover, the jerk with the bandage mocks her cute outfit and accuses Sakamoto of being a two-faced loser. Sneering at the couple, the thug points at the blonde boy, saying they do not match at all and he only cares about fighting. Furious, Sakamoto tells the delinquent to shut his mouth and swears Tojo is not the kind of girl to be insulted like that. Finding the protagonist's tough act hilarious, the delinquents mock him, asking if he seriously thinks only the two of them showed up today. Bellowing for Bap, the kendo jerk calls his big brother to join the party. Stomping heavily, a massive blonde guy appears looking vicious, asking who had the nerve to beat up his boys. Kissing up to the boss, the guys introduce Hayashi as the true legend of the Kitayama streets. Desperate, Sakamoto tells the redhead to run away fast, warning her that he is the guy's only real target. With an evil smirk, the giant blonde tells the protagonist to stop playing around because the fight is dead serious now. The criminal leader grabs Karen's wrist hard, terrifying the girl. Yanking the mobster girl, Hayashi drops the line that she should dump the loser right there and go have some fun with him. Screaming her name, the blonde boy tries to step in but gets blocked by the cowardly goons. Brutal shove, Sakamoto goes flying backward while yelling at the gang to get out of there immediately. Tired of just watching, Yusung mutters and tells Rika to stay perfectly still right where she is. Trying to break free, Tojo screams desperately for the protagonist in the middle of the park's chaotic mess. Suddenly, a blur crosses the scene, ending the gang's mockery in less than a second. Full of himself, the blonde leader was about to drop another gross comment to the redhead when a colossal hand grabs his arm from behind. Without understanding where the pressure came from, Hayashi gulps, feeling the sheer weight of that iron grip. With a violent twist, the MC crushes the thug's wrist with absurd strength, ripping a high-pitched scream of pain from him. The impact tosses the brute onto the park ground like a ragdoll, terrifying the rest of the gang. Glaring with killer intent, the giant kid declares in a deep voice that he hates repeating himself, ordering him to take his hands off his friend. The goons scream, asking what hole this Korean fridge crawled out of to take down their boss. Drooling with pain and hatred, Hayashi curses the MC, accusing the kid of playing dirty by attacking from behind. Sweating cold, the thug checks his swollen arm, wondering what kind of insane training this giant monster does in secret. Deep down, the delinquent knows it was not a sneak attack, it was just the absurd difference in power between a slightly buff civilian and a literal mutant. Watching the brawl from the front row, the Yakuza 4, Eyes asks if the big boss is going to jump into the mess. Rewinding time a bit, the Mafia squad was sprinting desperately through the park after losing sight of their daughter. Spotting the fight from afar, the advisor points, and the leader recognizes the redhead being yanked by the thugs. Furious, the mobster girl was trying to rip herself out of the blonde punk's grip while the boss boiled with hatred. Naoto almost pulls his gun to shoot the thug who dared to lay a finger on his princess. Prepping the heavy artillery, the gang was about to move, but the leader tells everyone to stop and hold their horses. Keeping his cool, the old man says the Yakuza does not need to get involved in childish high school brawls. With a dead stare, the boss points at the giant kid in the hoodie, telling his gang to pay very close attention to his aura. Feeling a suffocating pressure in the air, the leader trembles slightly, realizing the kid's strength is completely out of this world. Smiling tensely, the old mobster confesses he has felt that exact same terrifying energy once before in the past. Memories of Russia flood the boss's mind, bringing up the sinister image of Ivan, the destroyer, the head of the Red Mafia. Recalling his face-to-face meeting with the Russian monster in Japan, Naoto confesses the absolute terror he felt that day. Evaluating the kid, the mobster swears the Korean carries the exact same essence as a pure underworld apex predator. Fascinated, the old man wonders how a normal student named Kim Yu-sung manages to radiate the pure darkness of a crime lord. Back in the heat of the fight, our little MC takes a deep breath, throws the manga's original plot out the window, and takes total control. With a dark aura creeping up his body, Yu-sung warns the gang that he is about to sweep the trash out of there with pure, raw beatdowns. Driven by a protective instinct, he tells Tojo to grab Sakamoto and get the heck out of there so they do not get hurt in the crossfire. Worried about the big guy, the mobster girl hesitates, but he firmly guarantees he will not lose to a bunch of useless punks. Ticked by his nerve, the blonde boss screams, cursing the MC, and tries to land a violent punch to demand respect. At sickening speed, the thug's fists fly through the air, moving so fast they look like an actual blur. Cheering the attack, a goon yells in joy, thinking the leader's incredible speed is going to flatten the Korean. Drooling with confidence, Hayashi smirks, thinking the punch cannot even be dodged because it is just too fast. Without blinking, Yu-sung takes the hit dead on but does not move a single inch, standing like a solid concrete statue. Frustrated by the absurd defense, the blonde curses and readies his next strike, trying to shatter the big guy's wall. Throwing another brutal punch, the delinquent aims for a different spot, only for the fist to bounce right off the kid's bizarre muscle mass again. Hiding in the back, the blonde girl trembles watching the fight, while the Korean monster absorbs the blows, without letting out a single groan of pain. Ignoring the beatdown, Tojo calls out the giant's name, super worried about her friend in the middle of the circle. Clutching his shattered arm, the punk backs away shaking, muttering in confusion at Yu-sung's impenetrable defense. Dripping with a dark aura, our MC glares at the punk leader and declares that from now on, every punch counts as self-defense. Before the thug can even process the sentence, the air around the Korean distorts from the pressure of the incoming attack. With a blast that sounds like an atomic bomb, the kid's fist completely caves in the mobster's face with colossal, ignorant force. The punch is so massive it breaks teeth and mangles the punk's jaw, proving he used way more than standard high school strength. Flying like a piece of paper, the blonde spins in the air, crashing flat on the ground, because the hit was just that devastating. Watching the nightmare unfold, the gang panics while the kid coldly explains he had to end it in one hit so would not turn into a literal murder. Shaking in their boots, the thugs stare at their knocked-out leader, whispering in shock that the punch was anything but weak. Boiling with rage, the giant unleashes his terrifying purple aura, warning the worms that they made a huge mistake touching his friends. Whimpering on the ground, a goon tries to make a threat, claiming his dad is a big shot cop and the giant is going to jail. Refusing to entertain that nonsense, the Korean stomps hard, crushing the cocky kid's face straight into the concrete. In a frenzied combo, a rain of punches obliterates what is left of the entire gang all at once, with absolutely zero mercy. Dumped on the park floor like bags of trash, the bullies groan in pain, crying uncle after the massive beating. Cold as ice, the MC shakes off his bloody fist and tells the rest of the thugs to scram and never show their faces to Sakamoto again. Terrified of dying right there, the remaining punks scream in agreement and vanish, running for their absolute lives. Sighing deeply, Yusung turns back to the couple with a bruised face, but the lovebirds freeze, staring at the giant looking like that. Ignoring his own cut-up face, the kid turns his back, apologizes, and tells them to enjoy the rest of their date. Just then, the blonde girl shows up screaming furiously, cussing the MC out for sneaking off instead of heading straight to a pharmacy to treat his wounds. Waving his hands, the boy tries to calm the beast down, confessing it is the first time he has ever seen Rika this mad about anything. After the drama fades into the distance, the park goes dead quiet, and a super heavy vibe drops on Tojo and Sakamoto. Trying to break the ice, the blonde boy sits on the bench and lets out a sigh, catching the sad mobster girl's attention. Consumed by guilt, the redhead apologizes, claiming this whole violent mess only happened because of her. Shaking his head, the protagonist swears it is not her fault at all, and the kendo drama started because those guys came after him first. Taking a breath, Sakamoto freezes, staring at the horizon to gather the courage to spill the truth next to Tojo. Focusing on the redhead's face, the blonde boy smiles and bluntly confesses that he really does like the mobster girl. Instantly killing the romantic mood, the protagonist's expression abruptly shifts, and he apologizes. Getting straight to the point, he begs Tojo to completely forget the idea of a date, or any possible romance between them. Feeling her chest tighten, the redhead stammers, asking for a reason, and declares loud and clear she just wanted to go out with him. Looking away super awkwardly, Sakamoto sweats cold, admitting his own selfishness and the heavy truth stuck in his throat. Looking like she is about to cry, Tojo feels the stab in her chest and already sees the rejection coming. Desperate, she tries to push it, promising to change whatever he wants if he didn't enjoy her date. The blonde insists she is incredibly amazing and that the real flaw lies in his own stupid circumstances. Lowering his head, the protagonist reveals a childhood promise where he swore to marry a little girl from his past. Sticking to his dumb decision, he declares he will not date anyone until he bumps into the girl from that promise again. Shaken up, the mobster girl blinks in confusion, asking if he is really still attached to some childhood romance after all this time. Being honest, Sakamoto admits he barely remembers the whole thing, but confesses he really liked that childhood friend. Confirming the cliché, the redhead sighs, accepting that this childhood friend was the crush's true first love. Swallowing her tears, Tojo promises not to push it and takes the rejection like a champ, trying to look mature about the whole thing. Forcing a massive fake smile, the girl hides her pain, praises the outing, and swears today was genuinely fun. A bit awkward about the quick escape, the blonde boy flashes a weak smile, returning the goodbye as he watches her walk away. Picking up her pace, the redhead runs out of the park, feeling her heart shatter, just trying to hold it together until she is alone. Far away, Yusung watches from the front row, clueless on how to react to the drama, and suggests Rika should just go home first. Confused, the blonde finds it weird her partner is ditching her there and wants to go together, but he refuses. Blowing a goodbye kiss, Rika says she will see him next week as the afternoon finally turns into night. Sakamoto looks bummed out. The kid runs after the redhead, completely confused by the sudden drop in energy. Tailing her from a distance, the MC notices Tojo's desperate strides as she sprints through the park like crazy. Catching up to the girl in a dark alley, the Korean calls her name to figure out what on earth went wrong. Turning her back with red eyes and tears streaming down her face, Karen tries uselessly to pretend her world did not just collapse. Rolling his eyes, he replies that obviously nothing is fine, and she finally gives in, sitting on the ground to cry in peace. Kneeling right next to her, Yusung tries to be understanding, suggesting the girl should just break down completely to release all that pent-up sadness. Shaking with anger, the redhead grumbles about the humiliation, confessing she has never shown this much weakness around anyone in her entire life. Staring at the floor, the giant sighs and says that is exactly what friends are for while the girl tries to calm down. Suddenly breaking the ice, the mobster drops out of nowhere that she totally knew he and Rika were spying on them since the middle of the date. Sweating bullets about getting busted in his amateur disguise, the kid panics, wondering how an extra got noticed inside a totally illogical manga cliché. Ignoring the embarrassment, the redhead comments that if the duo was paranoid enough to tail her like that, it meant they did not have much faith in her plan actually working. Wiping her eyes, the mobster apologizes for being useless, crying that she really thought the cute dress would solve all her problems. Riddled with guilt, she takes the L, declaring she didn't have a spot in the blonde's heart, and forcing it just made things worse. Clutching her chest in pain, the girl confesses the feeling of rejection is driving her completely crazy. Sitting in silence listening to the heavy venting, Yusung reflects on how this is the first time he is seeing true, raw pain on someone's face in this bizarre isekai. Screaming from the bottom of her soul, the girl cries, admitting she was absolutely madly in love with the blonde protagonist. Gulping hard, the giant reflects on how utterly absurd this whole situation is in his head, remembering when he first met Rika and the forced smile he used to wear. always faking polite friendship. Full of remorse, he accepts that deep down, he still saw all of them as mere drawings and treated their lives like a little play put on for him to watch. Frying his brain, the MC asks himself if it is fair to treat Joe's brutal, real pain as just irrelevant comic book drama. Making the choice to flip the switch, he stands up abruptly from the grass, holding out his hand and telling the mobster girl to pick herself up off the ground. No nonsense, he jokes with her, saying if she keeps crying in the street, someone is going to call the cops for disturbing the peace. Finding his stupidity funny amidst the tears, Karen tries to wipe her face and flashes a sweet, genuine smile back. Looking at her, the MC drops the truth, confessing that a lighthearted redhead with an easy laugh suits her tough, girl style way better. Suddenly, he rips off his bloody hoodie, tosses it aside, and declares the sadness ends right here, right now. Confused by his unhinged behavior, she stares at the giant as he hands her his own gym shirt to put on. Catching the girl completely off guard, he bluntly announces the new plan is to cure her heartbreak by singing at karaoke for the rest of the night. Tossing the fresh hoodie on the mobster's head, he declares she is going to scream into the mic until she forgets that loser and purges the pain for good. Laughing hard, the girl finds his comfort totally clueless and follows the Korean, laughing at the absolute madness her life has become. Looking down at the giant shirt hanging off her body, Karen whispers to herself that this idea is the most random, stupid thing in the world and lets out another genuine laugh. Watching the scene, the Korean realizes that at the end of the day, they are all just normal people dealing with normal people problems. Seeing the redhead smile, he concludes once and for all that these people have real feelings and are not just NPCs in some game. Far down the street, the Yakuza boss takes a drink and comments that the boy has a heart of gold, feeling happy for his daughter. Surviving in a dangerous world like that, the old mobster swears kids like that giant are a rare gem. Nodding in agreement, the goon confirms that this absolute monster of strength is also a kid with a solid moral compass. Yusung mentally hopes he runs into the mafia again someday and cracks a sincere smile. At karaoke, Tojo shows zero mercy to her vocal cords, screaming into the mic like a total maniac. Yelling right in his ear, the redhead orders the kid to get off his chair and take over the next song at max volume. Days later, Rika finally visits the muscle man's house and is completely shocked by his bedroom stuffed with gym equipment. Looking dumbfounded, the blonde asks if every teenage boy has a bodybuilding studio in his room, and he replies obviously not. Looking down at the floor, the girl notices two massive dumbbells sitting on the rug. Clueless about the actual weight, she tries to lift it and cannot move the bar a single millimeter. Mocking her attempt, the MC warns that those weights are half her entire body weight, and she will literally never be able to lift them. Trying to process the absurd situation, he remembers they were just walking home together after school like normal. But halfway there, the romance expert's stomach growled so loud you could hear it from across the street. Surprised by the rumble, the MC asks if she is hungry again, since she already ate a huge lunch. Jumping for joy, the blonde instantly remembers the kid's parents own a fancy restaurant right nearby. Sighing, he agrees that offering a quick dinner to his friend will not exactly wreck the family budget. The scene shifts to the humble yet super cozy restaurant run by the Korean's family in a quiet neighborhood. Sitting at the table, Rika shows zero mercy to her stomach and starts devouring every single plate Yusung puts in front of her. Taking a massive gulp of cola, the blonde feels the relief hit her chest after scraping every plate clean. Full of joy, Rika praises the food cooked by the kid's mom, who is absolutely thrilled seeing the girl eat so well. Bonding with the mom, the blonde even asks for seconds, and his mom rushes back to the stove, overjoyed to have a guest over. Sipping his tea, the MC reflects that the girl really knows her food because she praised the traditional dish perfectly and totally won his mom over. Screaming with excitement, the girl thanks them for the food and drags the giant away, announcing the next stop is his bedroom. In pure shock and red as a pepper, the Korean yells, asking why on earth she wants to invade his personal space. Winking playfully, she says she is just going to snoop around her friend's room to get to know his secrets better. Back in the present, the kid hands her a tray of juice, feeling like the biggest idiot for not denying the crazy girl's request. Tired of trying to understand female logic, he just offers the drink while the blonde is already spinning around in his desk chair. Flipping through the magazines, she finds it weird he has a massive stack of cheesy romance manga sitting in the corner. To hide his embarrassment, the MC fakes surprise, saying he did not know she was into action shounen. Throwing the blonde off the trail, the giant swears he only bought the romances for the references and absolutely not because he likes the cliché plots. Suddenly, Rika's eyes light up when she spots an old edition of Golden Samurai on the shelf. Yusung confirms that old masterpiece is, without a doubt, his favorite manga of all time. Drooling over the covers, the girl is amazed they are all super rare first editions that are impossible to find on the streets. Admiring the cover, he praises it highly, saying the manga has spectacular art and a fantastic plot from start to finish. Agreeing with the praise, Rika nods that the character development was totally ahead of its time back then. Rambling non-stop, the giant lists the plot twists, almost drooling until he notices the girl's weird, sneaky smile. Dropping the absolute bomb, Rika flashes a huge smile, announcing her dad is literally the genius mangaka who created Golden Samurai. Shook, with his mind totally blown, the MC stammers, trying to process that the girl he puts up with every day is the daughter of a living manga legend. Screaming the name, Kishimoto Musashi. The kid finally connects the dots, realizing the last name was not just some cheap coincidence. Frying his brain cells, he deduces her foreign features and blonde hair come from the British mom the entire internet has already gossiped about. Absolutely ticked off, Yusung feels like an idiot for falling for the classic cliché of having a famous friend's dad and never noticing it. Digging through his memory, he recalls that on the day of the date, he went to her mansion and the living legend was hiding there the whole time, and he didn't even ask for a single autograph. Without a second thought, the fanboy screams and begs the blonde to score him a signature from her dad over the Golden Week holiday. Crying rivers of happy tears, the giant begs to meet the legend, and the blonde promises to set up the perfect meetup. Riding the vibe, the girl asks what his favorite part of the Golden Samurai story is. Head in the clouds, the Korean reflects that he loves all of the author's work, but that one holds a very special place in his heart. Smiling, he says the series goes beyond anything else, and gets a bit shy trying to explain the details proactively. Suddenly, she drops the truth, bringing up the park brawl and comparing her friend's actions to the key moments, the classic manga's samurai hero. Enchanted, Rika mentions the boy's actions reminded her exactly of the hero from Volume 5. In a flash of memory, the classic scene where the hero threatens anyone who touches a single hair on his partner's head pops into the girl's mind. Eyes sparkling, the romance expert decrees that raw brute strength combined with blindly protecting friends is the best trait they both share. Hugging the rare manga against her chest, the blonde closes her eyes, smiling, and gives thanks for having a protector exactly like her paper idol. Cutting to Monday at school, life goes back to normal in the packed classrooms. Called into the student council room, Yusung gets handed a massive chore to handle during the long Golden Week holiday. President Fumayukika cashes in his promise to help, and the boy agrees to follow orders calmly. Explaining the drama, the brunette says she needs a backup bodyguard to scare off some weird teacher from the Russian school coming for a student exchange. Planning to buy the official welcome gift, the president declares the kid will have to go out with her just to carry the shopping bags. With a threatening, arrogant look, the captain drafts the Korean for the mission and warns she will not take no for a final answer. With no way out, Yusung suggests scheduling it for April 29th and checks his phone to coordinate the date with Rika too. Hyped by the quick yes, the president celebrates and warns that if he bails, she's gonna chop his head right off. Released from the room, the MC sighs in relief at surviving Fuma's killer aura, while another member mentions she woke up in a weirdly good mood today. Sighing heavily, Yusung plots to reschedule the meetup with the legendary mangaka to the 30th so he can pull off both plans. Out in the hallway, an NPC friend stops the Korean, spilling the hot morning gossip that just came out of the principal's office. Excited, the gossip recalls that arrogant rookie Do who kept picking fights with everyone and got kicked out of Kendo weeks ago. Dropping the shocking news, the guy says those two bullies randomly requested a school transfer early this morning, absolutely terrified. Flashing a little smirk, Yusung figures out the violent beatdown the kids took in the park is the real reason for their unexpected escape. Sitting at his desk, the MC gives thanks for the blessing, because now Sakamoto and the redhead will finally have real peace in the hallways. Right then, the classroom door gets thrown open, and a smooth, female voice apologizes for being late to the very first class on Monday morning. All smiles, the English teacher tells everyone to open their books to kick off the school week with a bang. Writing on the board, the gorgeous blonde draws sighs from the room, while the kid in the front row tries not to drool during the lesson. Paying attention to the reading, Yusung notices Rika chatting totally casually with the teacher while copying notes from the board. Charmed, teacher Mizuki Nene flashes a radiant smile, asking for a random student to participate today. Playing with the dates, she picks student number 24 to read out loud, terrifying the poor NPC student who almost has a heart attack in the middle of class. Shaking in his boots, the nerd stands up and starts reading the English book, stuttering horribly in front of the whole class. Showing no mercy, the teacher cuts the reading short and tells Yusung to introduce himself for the new exchange students. Super friendly, she asks him to recommend a cool spot in Japan for a foreigner who just stepped foot in the country. Standing up, Yusung answers bluntly that he recommends Osaka because of the awesome tourist spots. Surprised by the quick reply, the teacher freezes and just stares blankly at the giant. Doing a fake slow clap, she praises the answer, but the entire class can tell she absolutely hated his comment. Whispering to Rika, Yusung points out the teacher clearly despised his tourist recommendation. Flashing a totally fake smile, the teacher tells the big guy to sit down, and the whole room feels the awkward vibe in the air. Sweating cold, the teacher thinks about the true hidden meaning behind that innocent question and internally panics. Putting it all together instantly, Yusung confirms to himself that his theory about the new girl was 100% right. Remembering the original manga, the Korean knows very well this niece. Teacher is actually a sadistic psychopath who loves screwing students over on purpose. Frying with fear over his own reputation, the MC thinks about the absurd rumors circulating about him since day one. With people whispering he is a Yakuza heir who massacred an entire gang single-handedly, Yusung gets why the teacher is shaking. Deciding to clear his name, the kid swears he is going to act like a total angel during his interview with the teacher to undo his thug reputation. Clashing with reality, the teacher reviews the monster's file and cannot believe that Walking Fridge is a normal student. Reading the rumors, the teacher goes into shock, assuming he is the next boss of organized crime planning to murder her in cold blood. Suddenly, the door to the teacher's lounge flies open, interrupting her paranoid spiral. Wearing a spooky smile, Yusung walks into the room saying good afternoon, and the teacher almost has a heart attack from the jump scare. Stuttering like crazy, the blonde tries to hide her panic, denying she was looking up the student's criminal record. Seeing the teacher pale and sweating, the giant drops the act and accepts she is absolutely terrified of him. Trying to keep his posture, Yusung says he is here for the mandatory career counseling session. Letting out a nervous chuckle, the teacher tells him to sit down and tries to focus on work so she does not totally lose her mind. Straight to the point, she asks what the big guy's plans are for the future, and he says he still has absolutely no idea. Trembling, the teacher tests the waters and asks if he plans on taking over the family's shady business. Desperate, the blonde is already picturing the MC running the mafia, and Yusung tries to calm the neurotic teacher's nerves. Explaining the truth, he says his parents run a humble suburban restaurant, and the teacher breathes a sigh of relief. Realizing he is just a cook's son, the blonde drops her shoulders, and the session finally starts flowing smoothly. Smiling sincerely, the teacher even jokes she would love to try the food at his restaurant someday, and Yusung gives thanks for the calm vibe. Going back to the forum, she asks about his favorite subjects, and the boy replies he is great at math and science. Suggesting a career path, the teacher tells him not to pick something just based on talent, but to focus on what he actually loves. Opening her heart, the teacher says the most important thing in life is doing what you truly desire, not just what you are good at. Focused on her wisdom, Yusung listens closely and realizes she is not the crazy sadist he remembered from the manga. Looking back at his past, the MC confesses he was great at engineering, but absolutely despised the field. Surprised by his honesty, the blonde vents that she also never planned to be a teacher in her life. Red with embarrassment, she asks him to keep it a secret, and Yusung swears he will not laugh at her past. With a goofy smile, the teacher reveals her biggest teenage dream was to become a famous anime voice actress. Telling the story, she remembers being young and falling head over heels for a giant cartoon robot. But when it came time to pick a career, her counselor clipped her wings, calling voice acting a useless hobby. Advised to focus on a stable job, the blonde followed the herd and majored in education. Confessing her regret, the teacher admits she realized her massive mistake the second she stepped onto the college campus. Staring at a flyer for a voice acting event, the blonde talks about how she cried tears of sadness for not following her own heart. Frustrated, she vents that she outsourced her own future, letting someone else dictate her life in the blink of an eye. Dropping the golden advice, the teacher tells Yusung to think long and hard before making any final decisions. Touched by the story, the Korean realizes that advice is coming from someone who felt the pain of a bad choice firsthand. With a huge smile, the teacher wraps up the session on a light note, and the giant feels massive respect for her. Standing up, Yusung thanks her from the bottom of his heart for the honest advice, and the teacher smiles in relief. Right then, another teacher walks in and asks if that giant was the famous Yakuza heir everyone gossips about. Shaking her head, the teacher defends the kid, saying the gang rumors are just lies made up by jealous people. Confirming the MC's innocence, the blonde guarantees Yusung is just a dedicated, super caring student. Walking down the hall, the Korean feels like a huge weight has been lifted off his shoulders, and his school life feels way easier now. Relieved, the teacher tells her coworker that from now on, she will never judge students just by their brutal physical appearance. Cutting to the long Golden Week holiday, a massive crowd squeezes into the Tokyo Temple entrance. Arriving early at the meeting spot, Yusung checks his phone casually and spots President Fuma sneaking up. Throwing a fit, the brunette points her finger right in his face, yelling that the kid is late for their appointment. Dressed to the nines, the president scolds him, asking if he has any concept of the time they agreed on today. Totally lost, the MC shows her his phone screen, proving there are still 10 minutes left until the agreed time. Exploding with anger, Fuma argues that the basic rule of politeness is showing up 30 minutes early when meeting a lady. Playing dumb, the Korean apologizes, and the president scowls, saying she will forgive his tardiness just this once. Pointing at the sweet stall, she orders him to buy her a matcha ice cream as an official apology. Rolling his eyes, Yusung asks why he has to pay for the snack, but she turns her back, ignoring his whining. Complaining, the boy ends up buying the ice cream for the spoiled president just to avoid a scene in the middle of the street. Tasting the sweet, Fuma closes her eyes, totally amazed by the perfect flavor of the traditional matcha ice cream. Walking together, the brunette devours the ice cream happily, while the giant keeps up with the boss's pace. Out of nowhere, Yusung asks what the plan is for buying the school gift, and she completely freezes, having no answer. Trying to cover up her forgetfulness, she tells him to just follow her lead, acting like she had it under control from the start. Suddenly, an earpiece beeps in the president's ear, and the advisor's voice guides her route. Over the radio, the four-eyed lackey says there is a fancy craft store right nearby and tells her to take the big guy there. Inside an armored car, the duo of bodyguards in sunglasses monitors every single step of the date from afar. Tailing the lovebirds, the advisor tells the president to use her feminine charm while the secret mission goes down. Walking into the store, Fuma goes into shock, staring at a giant, solid gold Buddha statue right in the middle of the room. Thinking she liked the bizarre statue, Yusung asks if it is better to just buy the golden Buddha as the official gift. Sweating cold, the shop owner laughs at the joke, pricing the piece at 4 million, and the president almost drops dead at the cost. Laughing out loud, the brunette plays it off, praising her own refined taste, and says those super expensive pieces are just the beginning. Over the earpiece, the female advisor warns that the president is ruining the date and tells her to take it down a notch. Desperate, Fuma demands radio silence while Yusung notices the girl freaking out in the middle of the luxury store. Shaking with nerves, the advisor reminds her the mission is to spy and stroll around the temple, not burn cash on nonsense. Through gritted teeth, she orders Fuma to look behind her because the target is watching the scene closely. Sweating bullets, the president realizes the #1 rule of a date is not letting your partner get bored. Hiding her embarrassment, she boldly grabs the big guy's hand, making up a lame excuse on the spot. Pulling his arm, Fuma drags Yusung away, yelling that she forgot a super important appointment just to escape the expensive store. Back on the asphalt, the Korean notices the girl breathing heavily and asks if she is genuinely feeling sick. Awkwardly, the brunette forces a smile and assures him it was just a silly dizzy spell, nothing serious. Keeping up appearances, she snaps open her fancy fan and pushes the MC again, warning him not to waste time. Taking orders through the radio, the president follows the route, dragging the kid into a traditional Japanese clothing store. Looking at the display, the shopkeeper shows off the kimonos, and Fuma scopes out the shop with the mission of stalling the kid there. Trying to guess the exchange student's taste, the shop owner suggests thicker fabrics, so the foreigner does not get cold. Yusung drops the bomb and asks Fuma's opinion on which style fits the occasion best. Full of attitude, the president cuts the small talk, ignores the price tags, and orders the owner to bring out the best piece in the collection. Drooling over the fat commission, the saleswoman flashes an evil, profit-driven smile and promises to bring the store's hidden treasure. Seconds later, the owner presents a gorgeous kimono, tossing the price on the table like 500,000 yen is just pocket change. Looking at the options, Yusung asks the owner to show some less exaggerated patterns. Complaining about every little detail, Fuma rejects all the kimonos, finding a flaw in every single color. Minutes tick by on the clock, and the store floor ends up buried in clothes while the two cannot agree on anything. Getting inside the kids' heads, the sharp saleswoman flatters the couple, pulling the old trick of saying everything looks stunning on her. Pushing the girl, she tests the waters and suggests trying the fabrics on to make picking the gift easier. Agreeing with the shopkeeper, Yusung backs the idea, saying it will help a lot to see the outfit on her before paying. Shocked by the pressure, Fuma gets shoved straight into the fitting room, while the attendants start unbuttoning her clothes without mercy. Pulling the door shut, the girl panics as she is surrounded by the store ladies who give her zero room to breathe. Outside, advisor Manami hears the president's despair and yells his teammate's name to go help with the mess. Shrugging it off, the other bodyguard says the boss can handle herself, and she is not going to ruin her fun. With a cynical smile, the coworker in sunglasses mocks him, saying Fuma is lucky she does not have to put on a complex outfit from scratch by herself. With nowhere to run, the president cries internally, promising to keep her composure for the sake of the secret mission. Holding back laughter, Yusung sits on the store sofa while the owner sucks up to Fuma, praising her figure in the fitting room. Suddenly, loud mobile game noises blast from the big guy's phone as he kills time playing a free game. Opening the fitting room door, the girl steps onto the main floor, taking everyone's breath away with her dazzling look. Paralyzed on the couch, Yusung freezes, dropping his phone and just drooling over the girl. Fixated on her, he drops a sincere compliment, saying Fuma looks absolutely gorgeous in the traditional clothes. Smiling awkwardly, the Korean admits the dark kimono perfectly matches her pale skin. Laughing like a posh lady striking a pose, the president brags that this is the result when she actually decides to take things seriously. Satisfied with the gift, the saleswoman promises to wrap the piece, and Fuma asks for a few minutes of peace alone in the fitting room. Closing the door, the girl leans against the wall, letting out the breath she was holding in her chest. Shaking with embarrassment, the president covers her tomato, red face after hearing the brute's compliments up close. Pulling her hair, she silently freaks out, unable to understand why her heart is beating so fast over an extra. Walking down the street, Fuma notices guys staring at her in admiration as they pass by on the asphalt. Sighing in relief, the girl calms down and sees Yusung standing firm, protecting her from getting shoved by the crowd on the sidewalk. Admiring his attitude, the president mentally agrees the kid has a strong presence but knows how to be a gentleman when needed. Suddenly, she says goodbye, announcing she is going to call the driver to pick up the bags, so they can leave already. Starting a conversation, Yusung shoots the idea down, pointing out Fuma is drawing way too much attention standing there, and suggests grabbing a quick snack first. Confused, the girl asks where on earth they are going to eat, and the Korean points toward the neighborhood packed with manga shops and nerd figures. Completely clueless, the president does not realize they are in the middle of the city's otaku hotspot, while the kid laughs at her face. Throwing her off, Yusung nods and pulls her down the sidewalk to enter the otaku district. Sweating cold, the bodyguards jump back, almost getting busted by the duo who turned the corner way too fast. Complaining, the advisor warns it is impossible to spy properly if the president keeps running around like a headless chicken. Shrugging his suit, wearing partner agrees the giant kid is obnoxious but points out the president clearly does not feel the same way. Walking into an old school ramen joint, Yusung pushes the door open, smiling at the counter filled with hot noodle steam. Hiding none of his joy, the Korean swears this is the best ramen in the area, while Fuma tries to get comfortable in such a basic spot. Handing over the menu, he says he is going to hit the restroom real quick and be right back, telling her to take her time picking. Suddenly, advisor Minami freezes in the middle of the hallway, feeling a monstrous cramp in his stomach. Worried, his partner asks what is wrong, and he doubles over, clutching his stomach and cursing his own life. Figuring it out, his coworker mocks him, saying that matcha ice cream from earlier did not sit well with his weak stomach. Desperate, the Four Eyes cries in pain and sprints to the bathroom before disaster strikes right in the middle of the mall. Stepping out of the stall, the bodyguard sighs, feeling like a new man after unloading his problems in the toilet. But as he lifts his head, he comes face to face with his own target washing his hands at the sink in the men's room. Bellowing Kim Yusung's name, the advisor points his finger in pure panic, unable to believe this bizarre twist of fate. Sitting at the counter, Fuma turns her head, complaining about the giant taking forever, right as he finally comes back to the table. Getting a massive jump scare, the president tilts her head and sees her own security team planted right behind Yusung. Clueless, the Korean smiles and says he bumped into the school vice president sneaking around in the diner's bathroom. Playing the nice guy, the giant says he invited both of them for a free meal as a way of saying thanks. With her eye twitching in pure hatred, Fuma clenches her fists, mentally blasting her team for ruining the secret date. Flashing a tense smile, she invites the goons to sit down, swallowing her pride to endure these idiots at the ramen counter. Disappointed, the president cries on the inside, lamenting that her chill hangout just turned into a crowded field trip with annoying people. Apologizing with her eyes, the blonde bodyguard whispers that it is all the idiot's fault for having a weak stomach and getting them caught. Changing the vibe, the server slams 3 giant bowls of steaming noodles right in front of the crew. Staring at the bowl, Fuma freezes, having absolutely no idea how to even start eating a soup she has never seen in her life. Suspicious, Yusung bluntly asks if she has ever eaten ramen before, and she says no, claiming she only knows fancy rich people restaurants. Shocked by her bubble, the kid laughs, realizing the heiress has literally never stepped foot in a working-class spot until today. Taking a shy first bite, the president blows on the noodles and pops them in her mouth, super curious about the seasoning. Closing her eyes, the brunette approves instantly, praising the hot broth of the humble dish. With a massive smile, Yusung says thanks and tells her to fill her stomach because he is paying the whole bill without breaking a sweat. Drooling over the food, the vice president tries to scrape his partner's plate, but she snatches the chopsticks out of his hand, telling him to shut up so he does not end up in the bathroom again. Satisfied with the meal, The four of them stare at a loud arcade right across the street to kill some time. Focused on the claw machine, Fuma tries to grab a brown teddy bear, but the toy slips and drops right back down. She stumps her foot in frustration, while the blonde bodyguard promises to snag the prize for the boss on the next try. Across the room, Yusung and the four-eyed vice president mash the buttons, going hard in an insane fighting game. Flashing a cocky smirk, the advisor celebrates winning the match, rubbing his success right in the Korean's face. Flaring up his purple aura of pure hatred, the Prota swears revenge, thinking this preppy guy is just mocking him because he is an outsider. Finding the giant's fury hilarious, the advisor swears he is going to crush the kid to make him pay for having the nerve to go out with his boss. Suddenly, both lose their patience and decide to settle the beef through virtual beatdowns, throwing more tokens into the machine. Yusung's character gets hit with a humiliating KO, and Fuma watches from the front row as the giant embarrasses himself by losing yet again. Screaming in outrage, Yusung refuses to accept defeat, while the Four Eyes rubs it in, calling him weak. Swallowing hard, the Prota accuses the advisor of being a video game addict and demands a fair rematch. With gleaming eyes, the preppy guy accepts the challenge and asks what game mode they are playing next. Pointing angrily, Yusung decrees the rematch will be on the punching machine to settle everything with brute force. Thinking it is fair, the advisor taunts him, saying real men settle things with muscle, not by mashing buttons. Unbuttoning his shirt in the middle of the arcade, the Four Eyes takes off his glasses, striking a jacked villain pose. Shocked by the scene, Yusung realizes the preppy nerd actually has a Rambo physique hidden under his dress shirt. Flexing his pecs, the advisor brags about his body, while the Prota tries to figure out how he hid all that muscle inside a tight shirt. Shaking her head, the bodyguard partner judges her friend's flexing, calling him a complete idiot. Trembling, Yusung tries to back out of the challenge, claiming he never agreed to fight on the punching machine. Laughing at the Korean's scared face, the brute tosses his glasses and declares the duel is now official, and there is no running away. Throwing heavy shade, the advisor says if the kid chickens out, he is going to be super disappointed in the school's so-called legend. Totally fired up, the vice president gets ready to unleash hell on the machine, swearing to show him the real power of the mafia. Giving a final warning, the preppy guy tells the giant to watch closely and learn how to throw a real punch. With a deafening battle cry, the advisor channels all his strength into his arm to absolutely crush the arcade toy. Hitting the target violently, the sound of the punch echoes through the entire place, scaring everyone walking by. Checking the digital scoreboard, the machine hits an enviable 960 points, completely shattering the arcade's old record. Hype, the security team celebrates the vice president's historic milestone while the Prota sweats bullets from nerves. Cocky, the advisor passes the baton, calling the Korean up to try his luck and beat his absurd score. Terrified, Fuma begs them to stop playing around, knowing that if Yusung hits for real, the whole building will come crashing down. But blinded by the male ego, the Prota ignores the president, swearing he is just going to hit it for fun without going all out. Cracking his knuckles, the Korean gets ready, wondering how the heck he got himself into a fake strength contest. Focused on the machine, Yusung admits the score is dumb, but if he hits too weak, he is going to embarrass himself in front of the president. Feeling his muscles swell out of nowhere, he realizes his stolen body has an absurd comedy buff that only triggers when the conflict is totally ridiculous. Wrapped in his threatening purple aura, he promises to hit hard, but not hard enough to obliterate the entire city block. With his eyes glowing, he admits holding back his monstrous strength is incredibly hard when he gets hyped for a fight. Swinging his arm back, he decides that if he is going to break the toy, he might as well break it with style, putting all his weight into the punch. In a flash of light and explosion, the punch connects, tearing through the air before it even touches the plastic target. Confused by the weird sound, the vice president smirks, thinking the kid's punch was way too weak. But his security partner screams, pointing out that Yusung the idiot totally missed the leather pad and punched the machine's solid iron pillar instead. Looking at the digital scoreboard that says 0, the machine stays quiet since he hit the frame and not the actual force sensor. Sweating cold, the Prota listens to the team cussing him out while trying to explain his aim was just a little rusty today. In the back of his mind, the giant celebrates that missing the target was way better than turning the arcade to dust and causing a massive disaster. Suddenly, the machine starts smoking and rocking back and forth on its own, looking like it is going to collapse any second. With a bizarre crash, the main iron axis snaps right in half, and the entire toy collapses onto the arcade floor. Everyone goes dead silent staring at the $1,000,000 wreckage, and Yusung tries to dodge Fuma Yukika's killer glare. To break the heavy tension, the vice president stylishly puts his glasses back on and formally declares the match a tie. Fleeing the arcade in a rush, the crew bounces before the manager makes the clumsy Korean pay for the shattered machine. Out on the street, the group bumps into a street photo booth and decides they have caused enough chaos for one day. Since the sun is already setting, the four-eyed advisor suggests taking a group souvenir photo to commemorate their weird truce. Excited by the idea of cute sticker photos, President Fuma agrees, and the whole gang piles in the cramped booth all at once. Shoving everyone into the exact same square meter, the booth turns into a tangled mess of people trying to fit on the tiny screen. In a flash, the photos print out, showing Yusung and Fuma looking chill in the back while the two bodyguards act crazy up front. Analyzing the prints, the partner roasts the advisor, pointing out his eyes are closed in almost every single shot. Ignoring the jokes, the president holds the sticker sheet with care and flashes a massive, genuinely happy smile. Admitting it out loud, the brunette says the photos turned out cute and that this kind of random hangout is actually really fun deep down. Feeling the good vibes, Yusung seizes the moment and suggests capping off the night by singing at a karaoke joint nearby. The night rolls on with the vice president belting out tunes and totally embarrassing himself at karaoke, while the crew dies laughing. When it is the boss's turn, Fuma Yukika proves she has got serious pipes, surprising everyone with her perfect pitch. Sharing the mech, Yusung jumps into the duet, and the night ends flawlessly with non-stop singing and total fun. Later on, in the dark street, the gang says their goodbyes, calling cabs to get home safe and sound. Before the car pulls away, Yusung says he had a blast, and Fuma waves from the back seat, agreeing with the kid. Once inside the taxi, the bodyguard duo goes into shock, realizing the colossal blunder they made on the day of the secret date. Desperate, the vice president gulps and begs his boss for forgiveness, admitting they ruined her date by sticking their noses where they didn't belong. Whining, the partner agrees they completely missed the cue to leave and ended up sticking to her like glue all day with zero self-awareness. Fuma stares blankly, processing the tearful apologies of her clumsy bodyguards. Suddenly, a sincere smile blooms on the president's face, and she replies with absolute calm that it is all totally fine. Shocked, the duo sighs in relief, hearing the girl say the day turned out even more fun than she originally planned. Spacing out, the brunette thinks back on everything that went down, recapping the smiles, the goofy moments, and the time she spent with the MC. Remembering the matcha ice cream, the clothes at the store, and the punching machine disaster, Fuma admits she loved every crazy second of that day. Playing with the photo sheet in the back seat, the girl states that those memories made her genuinely very happy. In a childhood flashback, the Yakuza Harris remembers being a little kid playing in the park with those exact same two friends. With a warm heart, she thanks the two bodyguards for always sticking by her side through every crazy phase of her life. Touched by the sudden declaration, the advisor and the blonde hold back tears, deeply moved by their little boss's gratitude. Promising protect the girl at all costs, the four eyes cries tears of joy, swearing to serve and love the boss for the rest of their lives. In the end, the emotional vibe shatters when the president yells, telling the two clowns to quiet down so they don't make so much random noise in the car. Stepping out of the car, the president sends the duo away, threatening to fire them both if they mess up one more time. Promising to do better next time, the bodyguards shout from inside the car as the van speeds off. The next day, the scene cuts to the dark studio of a mangaka drawing frantically on a digital tablet. Suddenly, the door gets kicked open, and Rika storms into the office yelling for her dad. Nervous, the blonde demands her dad remember the super important friend visit happening tomorrow, and the old man says he did not forget. Hyped about the news, the mangaka gives a mysterious smile, confessing he is also dying to meet this school buddy. Scrolling on his computer, the old guy recalls all the gossip his daughter dropped about the mysterious kid, focusing on figuring out his identity. When the big day of Golden Week arrives, Yusung steps up to Rika's front door, totally anxious. Sweating buckets from nerves, the giant rings the doorbell, feeling like the luckiest fan in the entire world. When the door opens, the Korean instantly bows like a bamboo reed, showing absolute respect and calling the old man sensei. Shaking in his boots, the kid cannot believe he is face to face with the god of manga in the flesh. Seeing the living legend right in front of him, the MC feels the powerful aura of a creator of entire universes. Breaking the ice, the mangaka smiles from ear to ear, telling his #1 fan to drop the formalities and step inside quick. King small talk, Rika and her stunning blonde mom laugh at the kid's totally starstruck face. Without holding back, the matriarch sets up a feast fit for royalty to welcome her daughter's very first male visitor. Thanking them for the incredible food, the giant starts eating dinner with the famous family like he has lived there his whole life. Sipping some wine, the mangaka reveals that Rika never shuts up about "you sung this and you sung that" all day long at home. With a weird smirk, the overprotective dad admits he was dying to see the face of the boy who got his daughter so worked up. Sweating cold under his future father, in Law's psychological pressure, the proto tries to fix his blunder, aggressively denying any romance is going on. Stuttering, he explains they are just good friends who helped each other out on the first day of school with absolutely zero ulterior motives. Dropping the defensive act, the old man laughs at the kid's panicked face, saying he was just testing him since he is the girl's very first guy friend. Without a second thought, Yusung blurts out mid-dinner that if he had a daughter like Rika, he would do the exact same thing. Yelling out loud, the girl nearly spits out her rice, asking what kind of crazy talk is it to imagine her as his daughter. Red as a chili pepper, the blonde argues with her mom, saying she warned them the Korean guy has absolutely zero filter. Exchanging a knowing look, Rika's mom and dad smile, noticing the super light and easy vibe between the teenagers. Flustered, the prota doesn't get why the parents are laughing and asks if he said something totally bizarre during dinner. Throwing in the towel, Rika curses the kid, saying he has a gift for dropping accidental romantic lines at the absolute worst possible moment. With a nostalgic tone, the mangaka confesses his daughter grew up way too fast, and the days of playing with dolls vanished in a flash. Sighing, the old man looks up at the ceiling, admitting he really thought the blonde girl was going to stay a kid for the rest of eternity. In a super cute memory flash, the dad recalls when little Rika used to hug her stuffed bunny, swearing eternal love to it. Looking back, the mangaka remembers the scene of the little girl screaming to the world that she was going to marry her dad when she grew up. Suddenly, the old man shifts his focus to Yusung and mentions he heard the kid is a big fan of his old comic books. Setting up the perfect move, the author invites his #1 fan to take a private tour of his studio after dinner. Crying tears of emotion with a full stomach, the Korean nods aggressively, swearing his life is officially complete right now. Walking up to the second floor, the prota follows the living legend of art. Practically walking on air, he is so happy. Opening her bedroom door, the blonde walks in first, immediately showing off and giving her friend a tour of her space. Amazed, Yusung analyzes the giant shelves and swears that room looks way more like a public library than a teenage girl's bedroom. Announcing she is gonna grab some snacks from the kitchen, the girl leaves the giant alone and tells him to just chill and wait. Slamming the door, the blonde swears she will end the Korean if he snoops through her drawers or touches her hidden stash. Sitting on the fluffy rug, Yusung sweats cold, confessing to himself that this is literally the very first time he has ever been in a girl's bedroom. Trying not to think any weird thoughts, the kid pulls his phone out of his pocket to kill time playing a mobile game and focus on the screen. Suddenly, the door opens again, but this time it is the blonde's gorgeous mom stepping in with a wicked smirk on her face. Dropping the formalities, the mom tells the kid to just call her Maria without the miffers nonsense so she does not feel old. Shocked by the casual vibe, the prota does not really get why she is there, and Maria announces she came to spill her daughter's dirty secrets. Yanking a massive photo album from behind her back, the mom slams the book on the table, yelling that she is about to expose Rika's dark past. Opening the first page, Maria proudly points out photos of a chubby baby drooling on a pacifier. Yusung warns that snooping through a family album in secret feels like a crime, but admits he is super curious to see the glow up. Laughing out loud, the mom pulls out the top secret files, revealing she used to be a pro cosplayer back in the day and passed the addiction down to her daughter. Hyped, Maria finds the jackpot page announcing the blondie's true dark side is about to make an appearance. Flipping the page, the photo shows Rika dressed in an edgy, dark goth cosplay covered in ruffles and wearing an eye patch like a cheap anime villain. At that exact second, Rika kicks the door open, screaming her mom's name in pure despair like someone whose darkest secret just got leaked. Panicking, the blonde turns into a spicy tomato, glaring daggers at her mom, and asks if the kid saw the humiliating picture. With his eyes gleaming with amusement, Yusung nods with a sadistic smile, letting her know the goth Rika was a massive nerd. Whining in embarrassment, the blonde shoves the giant away, swearing it was just a rebellious middle school phase that never happened again. Closing the door, the mom flees the crime scene smiling, telling the lovebirds to have fun and forbidding her daughter from leaving the room. Morally destroyed, Rika drops to her knees in the corner of the room, fighting back tears of shame, wishing she could just disappear. Begging her partner, the girl pleads for the love of God that he never mentions this humiliation at school. Agreeing, the Korean swears to keep the secret but tests the waters, saying she shouldn't be so embarrassed over a costume. Laughing at the drama, the prota confesses that everybody goes through a phase where they think they are a powerful mutant with dark magic. Trying to defend herself, the blonde attacks the boy, claiming a jacked extra like him definitely never cosplayed in his life. Scratching his face, Yusung decides to level the playing field and confesses he was a walking disaster back in middle school. Skeptical, Rika doubts his claim, and the boy pulls out his own phone, challenging her to look at the hard proof. Scrolling through the original body owner's old photos, he finds the absolute perfect file to shut the blonde up. Shoving the phone in her face, he tells the girl to judge the picture taken back in the 6th grade. Eyes wide open, Rika's jaw drops, completely unable to believe what she is seeing on the tiny phone screen. On the screen, an old photo shows a scrawny, pale kid posing with bandages on his arm, acting like the Master of Darkness, summoning the Black Dragon. Laughing uncontrollably, the blonde blurts out that he was a cute, harmless little nerd and cannot understand how his physique exploded like that in such a short time. With a calm smile, Yusung explains he hated being a weakling that everyone mocked, so he decided to lift heavy iron and focus hard on bulking up before becoming an adult. Teasing him, Rika sighs romantically, asking if she had met the skinny kid earlier, would she have liked that look or the fridge build better? Totally missing the hint, he asks where on earth the blonde is getting this crazy idea of liking his look, out of nowhere. Slapping her hand over her mouth, the girl suddenly panics, realizing she let those words slip without her embarrassment filter on. Curious, he backs Rika against the wall, demanding an explanation for the comment she just dropped. Gasping for air, Rika looks away, desperately trying to fix the blunder while having a mini panic attack. Stuttering non-stop, she hammers it down, stating she only likes him as a great partner and friend for everything, period. Falling for the bait, Yusung nods in relief, confirming that real friends keep each other's dark childhood secrets without any drama. Laughing nervously, the blonde stutters, agreeing that they are just good friends and absolutely nothing else. Noticing the vibe shift, our MC calls the girl's name with a super gentle voice. Sincerely thankful, the boy says that thanks to her invite, he got to meet the sensei and score an autograph. Full of joy, Rika declares that day is going to be a lifelong memory, but the little MC fires back, saying she has been helping him out since day one. Smiling confidently, the kid announces that if this counts as payback, she can call on him whenever she wants. Jumping on the idea instantly, the blonde confirms he is going to have to come back and hang out with her again. As the sun sets, the girl tries to drop a hint, suggesting he could stay just a little bit longer. Killing the romantic mood, the boy packs up his stuff, saying he has already overstayed his welcome and needs to get back home for dinner. Suddenly remembering, the blonde asks about the MC's family trip and wants to know where he is heading for vacation. Replying he is off to Hawaii, the kid tells her to take care and Rika complains they will not see each other for a whole week. Going full protector mode, the giant swears that if any trouble pops up, she just has to call and he will rush back to help, but the blonde asks exactly how he plans to do that. Frying his brain, the proto considers swimming, figuring his absurd physical stats might actually let him pull off that absolute madness. Laughing at his own stupidity, the kid drops the idea and says he would just use his savings to buy a plane ticket. Waving her hand, Rika says a hyped goodbye, sending the big guy off with a "see you later." Satisfied with how the day ended, our little MC flashes a sweet smile, waving back. In a quick flashback, the blonde is shocked to find out their houses are only 2 subway stops apart. Bringing up the lunch day, the giant thanks her for praising his kimbap, and she tells him to let his mom know it was delicious. Strolling peacefully, the girl praises the kid's effort to help Tojo all day long and delivers her final verdict. Blushing and looking away, Rika declares loud and clear that the Korean guy is, in fact, a genuinely good person. In another quick flashback of the chase, our MC asks the girl for patience, letting her know they are almost at their destination. Squeezed in the crowd, the kid tells her to hold his hand tight so they don't miss the train. Yanking the girl by her arm, the giant plows through the crowd like an absolute bulldozer. Snapping back to the present, the scene cuts to the 5th day of the long holiday right in the middle of Akihabara. Strolling casually down the nerd street, our little MC celebrates finally buying all the manga he needed. Looking up at the sky, he decides the smartest move right now is to stuff his face before heading home. Walking through the packed sidewalks, he debates whether he should hit up his usual ramen joint. Out of nowhere, a female voice rips through the air, screaming for everyone to get out of the way. Confused, our boy turns his head just in time to see a girl in a hat zooming past him like a literal hurricane. Before he can even react, a weird object flies straight at his face, demanding silence. Catching a pair of panties right in the face, the proto goes blind, completely clueless about the madness unfolding. With his nose bleeding from the impact, the kid wonders if this flying panty nonsense is just standard romance manga logic. Ripping the fabric off his face in a fury, the giant declares this clown show makes absolutely no sense. Demanding answers, the proto holds his hand out indignantly after getting attacked, only receiving a mocking hiss in return. Suddenly, a squad of guys in suits shows up shouting the name Sasha, hunting for the runaway down the street. Grabbing the Korean's arm, the blue-haired girl tells him to shut up and help her escape. Totally confused, our little MC gets dragged into an alley, but warns her that path is a literal dead end. Taking charge of the situation, the giant kid pulls the girl in another direction, sprinting for their lives. Busting into a ramen restaurant, the duo completely kills the vibe of the place by rushing in like maniacs. Hiding under the window, the two listen as the mobsters run right past them on the street, still searching for the girl. Crouched on the restaurant floor, the atmosphere gets incredibly tense as they wait for the dust to settle. Finally standing up safe, the girl in the hat thanks the jacked Korean for his quick rescue. Boiling with anger, the kid drops the truth, saying he got dragged into this mess against his will, and demands to know who was chasing her. Sitting at the table to calm her nerves, the girl introduces herself as Sasha and asks her savior's name. Surprised by his Korean name, the blue-haired girl asks if he is a tourist, and the proto explains he is a second-generation mixed kid. Slamming the table with a spooky aura, the giant tells her to stop stalling and explain exactly who that street Jang was. With zero patience left, the kid gets up from his chair, wishes her good luck on her escape, and turns his back. Whining, the blue-haired girl tries to play the cliché card, saying any guy would help a beautiful girl without asking questions, but the proto shatters her delusion. Panicking, the runaway grabs her bag, promising to pay for the giant's protection. Slamming thick stacks of cash on the table, the girl proves money is absolutely not an issue. Changing his mind at the speed of light, the Korean accepts the contract on the spot, while the girl mutters that in the end, it is always about the money. Accepting the situation, Sasha sighs, warning him she cannot hide her identity anymore. In a quick move, she rips off her hat, letting her blue hair shine under the lights. Dropping the bomb, the girl reveals her dad is a massive big shot over in Russia, and the proto freezes. Showing off her absurd beauty, the blue-haired girl confesses the men in suits were likely trying to kidnap her. Frying his brain, the kid connects the dots and instantly recognizes the girl as one of the main heroines from the Scramble Love manga. Cutting to the two of them walking out of a clothing store, the cashier thanks them for the quick purchase. Stepping out of the fitting room, the foreigner shows off her stylish new disguise, which is way more comfortable for running. Checking out her look, the proto approves of the tactical gear, and the foreigner dictates the protection contract only lasts until 7 tonight. Bursting with energy, the Russian asks where the fun spots in the neighborhood are, completely ignoring the danger. Sweating cold at the girl's audacity, the Korean asks how someone being hunted by kidnappers wants to go sightseeing, but she fires back that crowds make the best hiding spots. Agreeing with her logic, the proto admits the mobsters won't start shooting in a massive crowd, and mentally reviews the girl's full name. Watching her walk with confidence, the kid remembers Alexandra is an absurdly famous Russian character from the original manga. Thinking about the plot, he concludes her intro was supposed to be bumping into Ryuji, not some jacked extra. Pulling the girl by the arm, he figures this arc is happening way before her official debut in the main story. Fully aware of the danger, the Korean asks himself if it is a smart idea to mess with the plot by saving the kidnapped heroine. Faking a fury, the proto summons a killer aura, asking if she thought she could buy him with colored paper, offending his honor. Snapping back to reality, the giant mentally admits that was exactly what he wanted to scream, but the amount of cash on the table was criminally high to refuse. Sighing heavily, the kid accepts the burden, calculating he only needs to survive as a bodyguard for a measly 6 hours. Flashing a sneaky smile, the blue-haired girl brags that she has a natural talent for reading the right people. Sizing up the Korean, the girl admits his literal human, tank physique screams safety right off the bat. Confident in her investment, Sasha states the giant can easily handle the job until the afternoon ends. Cutting the small talk, the proto warns they need to move fast before the gang tracks them down, but a scream ruins the plan. Startled, the giant sees the mob of Russian goons charging at them like lunatics and questions the guys' tracking radar. Sprinting down the asphalt, the Korean asks if those brutes are ex-KGB agents, but the Russian thinks he is talking about some kind of food seasoning. Before they can even turn the corner, a giant boot blocks their path, proving the escape will not be that simple. Wasting no time, the big bad guy rushes in with a devastating punch aimed right at Yusung. Ninja reflexes, the Korean dodges and lands a flawless counter, attack right on the lunatic's face. Grabbing Sasha by the hand, the kid drags the heroine into a hidden corner to dodge the crossfire. Tucked away safely, the muscle man guarantees she is secure and warns her his protection is premium tier. Paralyzed with fear, Sasha leans against the wall while Yusung monitors the situation outside. Clenching his fist, the Korean notices these guys are not your average street-level punks. Cornered by 3 agents, Yusung takes a deep breath, setting the stage for the absolute beatdown that is about to drop. Showing zero mercy, the monster steps into the ring, proving he is absolutely not here to play games. With a bloody strike, the giant knocks out the first guy on the list, proving that in Romance manga, the guy with the biggest muscles runs the show. Sprawled on the floor, the goons groan in pain as Yusung establishes himself as the area's final boss. Calling them out, the kid signals Sasha to fall back, promising he will handle this mess all by himself. One of the agents charges in, hoping to avenge his fallen buddies, but ends up taking a massive bath in humility. Snorting with rage, Yusung goes into berserker mode, warning them that nobody is going to ruin his day. Out of nowhere, Captain Boris steps onto the scene looking like an absolute professional villain. Analyzing the enemy, the Korean realizes the boss is way bulkier than he expected. Staring down Boris, the kid wonders if this guy also has the infamous calm muscle buff. Surrounded by fire and sheer willpower, Boris readies his strike, eager to prove he is the undisputed king of brawls. Shaking in panic, Sasha begs Yusung to run away, declaring the captain is literally invincible in a fistfight. Flashing a confident smile, Boris charges forward, eager to show exactly why he is the terror of the underworld. Smirking slightly, Yusung thinks underestimating an extra just because of a label is a villain's most fatal mistake. Determined to end this as fast as possible, the Proto locks his guard for the ultimate showdown. In a blur of purple energy, he charges at the captain, giving the guy zero room to breathe. Spooked by the speed, Boris tries to react, but instantly catches a heavy hand locking down his wrist. Spinning his body, Yusung uses the opponent's own weight against him in a flawless judo throw. Gripping tight, Boris tries to break free, but the giant traps the maniac in a brutal arm lock. Hitting the ground, the captain smashes his face hard, while Yusung pins his opponent to the asphalt with raw brute force. Groaning in pain, Boris cannot comprehend how he lost control so easily to a high school kid. Pressing down on his ribs, Yusung nearly snaps the villain in half before Boris screams out, begging for mercy. Locking down the captain's hips, the Korean tosses the enemy away, feeling the victory is already his. The job, finishing lifts Boris up with just one hand, showing exactly who is in charge around here. With his eyes blazing with fury, Yusung locks up Boris's joints, leaving the veteran with absolutely no way out. You can see the sheer despair on the villain's face, knowing his spine is one flinch away from snapping. With a masterstroke, the giant hurls the captain high into the air, turning the tables in the most humiliating way possible. Crashed on the ground, Boris feels the heavy blow of humiliation as he watches the winner from afar. Without looking back, the Korean keeps walking, leaving the mafia trash sprawled out in the park. Clutching his arm, Yusung grumbles that if he gets injured and cannot train tomorrow, he is going to have a total meltdown. Approaching carefully, Sasha checks to make sure her savior is still in one piece after that heavy brawl. Completely lost, the blonde wonders how a random student manages to be so ridiculously dangerous and strong. On the other end of the phone line, the mafia boss receives the explosive news of Boris Zarov's downfall. Disbelieving, the kingpin doubts the defeat of his very best soldier, a guy who had never lost a single duel in his life. Hearing the description of this so-called Black Yasha, the boss goes pale, recognizing the legend everyone feared. With his face sweating cold, the villain asks if it is actually possible that Monster has returned to the map. Reviewing the reports, the informant confirms the Black Yasha has resurfaced in Tokyo to cause absolute chaos. Spreading gossip across the internet, rumors of the Akihabara showdown send the Japanese underworld into a panic. In the shadows, a mysterious contact reviews the data, wondering why this Yasha disappeared without a trace in the past. Eyes shining, the brunette from the council comments that the mafia rookies are just a bunch of ignorant fools. Flashing back to the legendary 99 God of Fist tournament, the memory shows Ivan, the destroyer, hunting for a worthy successor. The mystery surrounding this, Fuma Kotaro, who popped out of nowhere, grows as the masked ninja stares into the shadows. The report says that despite only fighting once, Kotaro reached the finals and became an unbeatable legend. Deep in thought, the president asks if it is true that Kotaro has actually returned, making the atmosphere heavy. Opening her apartment door, the president invites Yusung inside without any formalities. Walking through her neighborhood, Fuma seems like a totally different person, way more relaxed than she is at school. Walking into her room, she bumps into her mangaka dad, who is already prepped to welcome the manga master. The vibe takes a wild turn when the maid and the family welcome Yusung with a full-blown maid cafe banquet. And Sasha right next to him, poor Yusung dies of embarrassment over the incredibly over-the-top reception. Facepalming, the Prota asks why Rika had to drag him to a maid cafe as a mandatory visit. Sitting at the table, the three of them look clueless, while the overly cute Deeker tries to win their hearts. Flipping through Rika's photo album, Yusung jokes that they look like lost tourists at an otaku convention. Furious, the blonde tells him to shut up and stop counting how many times he has laughed at her. Afraid of being spotted, Yusung grumbles that he cannot show his face for weeks because of the whole corporate mess. Explaining the tech beef, the Korean says the rival company's squad uses an EMP to fry everything in sight. With Luxia caught in the middle of a battle between giants, Yusung wonders why on earth they wanted to kidnap Sasha right now of all times. Adjusting her hat, Sasha warns him she is not just some rich kid and her bloodline is serious business. Cutting the cat, eared maid pops up with a super colorful, amazing, smelling plate of food. Excited, Sasha invites Yusung to dig in while he tries desperately to maintain his alpha male posture. With the maid insisting, Sasha warns him there is a mandatory purification ritual before taking the very first bite. Clueless, Yusung looks at the blonde, who is already laughing at his face before the clown show even begins. Making a heart shape with her hands, the maid forces the couple to repeat the ridiculous gesture to activate the flavor. Yelling Momo Kion for the whole cafe to hear, the cat-eared girl makes poor Prota sweat pure embarrassment. Wishing he could disappear from the face of the earth, Yusung refuses to do the gesture, and Sasha laughs at his struggle to keep up his tough act. Glowing red like an ember, the kid tries to hold back his laughter and shame while the maid waits for the pose. Caving to the pressure, Yusung drops the heart, and Sasha nearly dies laughing seeing the muscle man surrender to maid culture. After the humiliating moment, the Korean tries to regain his dignity while the employee goes back to work. Exhausted from all the stress, the Prota attacks his plate, admitting the food is actually pretty decent. Finishing up the meal, the maid comes back to see if the service met their expectations, and the group bounces before anyone asks for another dance. Kappa vibe shows no mercy, and Yusung ends up losing the mini-game round. Dropping the verdict, the cat-eared maid warns that the punishment for the loser is absolutely brutal. Showing zero pity, the boy is forced to wear a cat ear headband and end every single sentence with a super cute Naya. Shin Korean tries to negotiate, but Sasha laughs and says rules are rules. Grinding his teeth in pure shame, the kid accepts his fate, deciding he is going to win the next round no matter what. Yusung shuffles the cards like a world-class pro player. Right in the cat's face, poor Prota lets out a hate-filled Naya as an aura of purple despair consumes him. Losing yet again, the kid drops an F in frustration while Sasha laughs until she cannot breathe. With his ego completely bruised, the Korean swears revenge, promising the next round will be his ultimate victory. Getting up from the table, the duo decides to bail to save whatever tiny shred of dignity Yusung has left. Outside, the sun is setting, and Sasha celebrates an amazingly fun day, while the giant is still mourning the fact he didn't win a single game. Being totally sincere, the blonde says that even without seeing any tourist spots, the day was worth every second just for his company. Shifting her expression, Sasha turns to Yusung and says she has an urgent confession to make right now. Eyes wide, the kid listens as she reveals the guys he beat up in the park were actually bodyguards hired by her own dad. Pale, the girl admits she snuck out of the hotel to explore Japan without telling anyone, and the whole situation turned into a massive disaster. Warning her it is best she gets back to the hotel before her family loses their minds, Yusung says he will escort her there. Suddenly, the loud roar of a helicopter slices through the sky, and Sasha smiles nervously, knowing exactly what is coming. A deep voice echoes from above, yelling that he finally found his runaway daughter in the middle of the city. With the chopper's spotlight illuminating the park, Yusung and Sasha freeze in place, completely lost. The deafening crash of the landing kicks up dust, and the girl's dad steps out of the transport striking an absolute boss pose. Wearing dark sunglasses, Sasha's dad announces that the game of hide and seek is officially over. Yusung sizes the guy up and realizes instantly he is standing in front of someone incredibly powerful and dangerous. Asking how on earth her dad found them so fast, Sasha is completely floored by how easily they got busted. Skipping the small talk, the boss gets into position, declaring this is a strictly personal matter between him and his daughter. Walking toward them, the man shoots Yusung a death glare, analyzing his body like he is sizing up an enemy. Trying to protect her friend, Sasha takes all the blame herself, but her dad does not even listen. Sensing how lethal the guy is, the Prota fully understands this is Sasha's big bad dad. Curious about the guy's fluent Japanese, Yusung asks how a foreigner speaks their language so perfectly. Becoming the center of attention, the boy is startled when the boss mentions the name, Black Yasha, in Tokyo. Pointing at his own chest, the Korean asks if the guy is talking about him, and Sasha's jaw drops, completely confused by the nickname. The villain recalls how, 10 years ago, the legendary Black Yasha simply vanished from the map without a trace. Pushing his chest out, the enemy invokes the past and challenges Yusung to a final, definitive showdown. Bellowing with fury, Boris Zarov swears today he will finish the fight they left hanging years ago. Not understanding the reason for the beef, Yusung asks who this guy even is to be collecting a debt from another century. With a confused look, the Korean says he has literally never heard of this Fuma Kotaro guy in his entire life. Faced with this confusion, Sasha's dad watches the two of them like he is waiting for the very first move. Thinking the kid is just playing dumb, Boris warns him he will show absolutely no mercy. Trying to reason, the Prota insists the guy is confusing him with someone else, but the villain could not care less. Confronting the man, Sasha's dad asks how a kid managed to hand Boris a beatdown earlier today. Explaining calmly, Yusung apologizes for the incident and tries to clarify it was just a little park brawl. With a bruised ego, Boris ignores the explanation and drops the hammer, saying he has never been so humiliated in his life. Gathering energy, the villain glows with an intense blue aura, charging forward to turn the Korean into absolute dust. Seeing the destruction, Yusung realizes Boris is not playing around, and that he is going to have to fight for real now. Sasha watches everything trembling, while the Korean tries to calm the beast down to avoid a bloodbath in the park. Eyes narrowed, Yusung braces himself to defend his own life against the captain's insane assault. With a slight smirk, Boris invites the kid to show off the real power he has been hiding. Yusung drops his backpack full of manga on the ground and shifts into full combat mode. Yelling that he never forgives anyone who disrespects his comic books, the boy charges in for a counter-attack. Moving like a flash of light, Yusung launches through the air, aiming straight for the villain's weak point. With a colossal impact, Boris is blasted against the wall, feeling the sheer pressure of the Korean's punch. Blown away by the power, the villain smiles, loving the brawl, and admits the kid is genuinely strong. Blood in his eyes, Boris asks why Yusung is going through all this trouble just to protect the girl. Out of patience, Yusung yells that the guy might be a genius, but he is wasting time on these pointless fights. Defending his right-hand man's honor, Boris attacks again with a force that literally shakes the park's foundations. In a clash of fists, the air around them creates a deafening shockwave that terrifies anyone walking nearby. Analyzing his enemy, Boris realizes the kid has a unique gift that only appears once every 100 years. Casting fear aside, Yusung enters autopilot mode, completely ignoring the damage he is taking. Exploding with energy, Boris preps the finishing blow to wipe out the Yasha bloodline once and for all. Staring him down, Boris makes an indecent proposal, telling the kid to join his crew and drop out of school. Winding up his fist, the villain swears he will take Yusung to the top of the world if he agrees to the blood pact. Standing in the middle of the battlefield, Yusung realizes his reality is absolutely nothing like what he imagined. Understanding that the world of the Scramble Love manga has turned into an active war zone, he accepts his role. Thinking about the villain's speech, the Korean notices the guy's epic catchphrases sound like they were ripped straight out of a battle manga. Remembering that early on everything seemed like a cliché rom-com, he realizes things have gotten incredibly serious now. With his jacked body, Yusung understands all that grinding and heavy lifting was to survive in this insane new world. Realizing brawls are unavoidable, he accepts that his destiny is just beating up crazy guys from here on out. Reflecting that his absurd brute strength only creates more drama, he concludes his life is one endless fight. Looking up at the sky, he notes the story completely changed course and morphed into a hardcore battle manga with no turning back. He is absolutely certain the publisher and the author flipped the script to compete in the heavy GUMP rankings. Looking at the manga cover, the kid realizes trying to keep up a romantic routine in a fighter's world is a total waste of time. Picturing the author sweating at his desk to rewrite the plot, he sees the course of events shifting drastically. Knowing that any mistake could be fatal, he focuses entirely on the next strike that will decide his life. Knowing dangerous monsters are going to spawn from every corner, he braces himself to defend his very existence. Boris offering him a job, Yusung realizes his life is genuinely on the line now. Ignoring the offer of money and power, the kid clenches his fist, ready to crush Boris until his last drop of energy is gone. Staring Boris down with an insane smile, Yusung realizes this fight is the absolute perfect battle manga cliché. Remembering Sakamoto is the protagonist destined to win in the end, he does the basic mental math for survival. Embracing the blonde boy, the prota concludes staying glued to the main character is the golden rule to ensure he does not die in the middle of the plot. Letting out a sigh of relief, Captain Boris steps back, sensing the kid is taking the duel incredibly seriously. Yusung yells, asking why the old man is so extreme about everything he does, while the atmosphere grows heavy. Fast move, Boris lunges and lands a dry, crushing blow that knocks the air straight out of the kid's lungs. Feeling a sharp, piercing pain, Yusung understands the captain is not playing games and his real goal is to put the prota in a hospital bed. Prepping his next attack, Boris jokes that he was going to take it easy since he is Sasha's dad, but changed his mind real quick. Spotting an opening in the enemy's guard, the giant lunges forward to try a desperate counterattack. Staring intently, Boris keeps the calm demeanor of someone who has survived 1,000 battles and is not fazed by a student's fury. Cursing his own luck, Yusung realizes the captain is an indestructible brick wall blocking his path. Spreading his arms, Boris charges up blue energy that cracks in the air just like pure electricity. Giving a masterclass tip, the villain says he is going to teach him how a real man is supposed to fight. Clenching his fist with absurd pressure, Boris shows that every single movement must be calculated to completely obliterate the opponent. With his eyes glowing with fury, Boris declares that, no matter who is in front of you, one punch must be thrown with the clear intention of ending it all.